Stand by. The program will begin soon.
Two-year investigation by the House Weaponization Committee uncovers a two-tiered system of government. Apparently, they put out a 17,000-page report on this. Through its oversight and investigations, the Select Committee found numerous instances of federal government being weaponized against the American people. For example, the Select Subcommittee highlighted censorship by big tech that led Mark Zuckerberg to admitting Facebook was pressured by the Biden-Harris White House to censor Americans, empowered whistleblowers to come forward and have their voices heard despite retaliation by the Department of Justice and the FBI. They protected the First Amendment, leading to the dissolution of the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM, and other organizations that work to censor American speech. They revealed the weaponization of federal law enforcement against the American people, leading to important policy changes for the Department of Justice and the IRS, and uncovered evidence that Biden's campaign coordinated with 51 former intelligence officials to interfere in the American electoral system weeks before the 2020 presidential election by signing the statement calling Hunter Biden's laptop disinformation. So, is there a labor shortage? Ultimately, the entire need for H-1B workers is predicated on a supposed domestic worker shortage. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the current native-born American labor force participation is around 63%. Meanwhile, the foreign-born labor force participation is a stunning 68%. Importantly, per the Wall Street Journal, census data show immigrants who arrived since the start of 2020 are more than twice as likely to lack a high school diploma as U.S. 4 months, he beat not one but two Democratic opponents, swept all 7 swing states, and became the first Republican to win the popular vote in 20 years. He has realigned American politics, remaking the GOP and leaving the Democrats reckoning with what went awry. I'll tell you what went awry. They suck! Okay, moving on.
Did you know that since 1977, Congress has only passed the budget on time 4 times? The last time Congress passed a balanced budget was in 2001.
That was the
Did you know
Congress?
That over the last 6 years, Congress hasn't passed an appropriations bill on time once? In fact, we have had 17 continuing resolutions in the last 6 years.
6 years.
And since Biden has taken office, we have had over 11 omnibuses pushed through. Congress has only passed a balanced budget 4 times ever, meaning we didn't have a surplus or a deficit.
The mainstream has become fringe, and the fringe has become mainstream. There are platforms, there are people out there that are getting 14 million streams. And we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million. And so there's
not on CNN.
the whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times. Donald Trump understood that.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday Q&A, and let's, the first question today is from our friend Avocado Siamu, who says, have you ever woke up half naked except for a pair of lace panties, a Foot Locker's employee's ref jersey, and a pirate's eye patch stuck in the slide of a children's playground? AD? I'm becoming concerned. I'm becoming concerned. I would love to hear that story, though. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if I really want to hear that story, but no, I haven't. I feel very discouraged to see many influencers turning on some of our biggest fighters in Congress. Instead of going after the 38 who stand on principle and not raise the debt ceiling, but also didn't support the continuing resolution, why are they going after the people like Republican Congressman Greg Murphy, North Carolina 3, who was for the original continuing resolution? Or why not just go after the Democrats who are responsible for this entire mess? Why eat our own strong conservatives, especially over something like the debt ceiling, when no one really wants it raised in the long run? Even if the 38 had voted yes on the American Relief Act, it still wouldn't have passed. So what is the end goal here? To get rid of strong conservatives because we don't 100% agree all the time?
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
House report recommends FBI investigation into Liz Cheney over alleged witness tampering while on the J6 committee. So there's this seems to be blowing up in Liz Cheney's face as opposed to getting shot with birdshot by her dad. Here's another one. Taxpayers fund a disinformation index, but the real fake news is that it's useful. The Department of State wasted $330,000 to fund censorship of non-liberal and conservative media. Historically, the largest purveyor of disinformation is the U.S. government, without question. And now, once again, the government has decided to position itself as the ultimate judge of what is true and what is not. Do you think there exists an animal whose shit is actually super delicious? Oh my God. It would have to be some sort of seafood. I don't know. Avocado, what would you consider to be the most disconcerting thing about one could see in the toilet after you got done going to the bathroom? Only things that come from inside you count. Well, I think a 14-foot tapeworm would be kind of disconcerting. You'd be like, what the heck? That was inside of me. Okay. Lord Stanham asks, which member of Congress would you like to catch leprosy? You can name as many as you'd like. Well, let me just start with Jamie Raskin. And Adam Schiff. That's enough. This is lightning round. Avocado Diaby says, why is it that Nancy Mace is the only woman in Congress that does not sound like one of the teachers from Peanuts to me when she speaks? Maybe it's because she's from the South, although her accent is not that pronounced. Somnambule Nation, is this the penultimate? Is this the last question? No, it's not. Lord Stanhope, will you have a Merry Christmas? Melancholy. I already explained that earlier. Select a boy, who on The Simpsons has a plan that's good on paper but horrible in execution? Oh, obviously Homer. How many of you remember the name Crystal Magnum? Crystal Magnum. Does that name ring a bell? Anybody? Crystal Magnum. Now, even if you don't know that name, you know. It sounds like a stripper name, doesn't it? Crystal Magnum? That sounds like a stripper name or a porn star name or something like that, right? Well, here's an update in the story of Crystal Magnum. Congress members haven't even received the text yet. The deadline is Friday. This is utter insanity. That is... I don't know if I could be any less accurate or more accurate. I don't know. Congress at last passed a real budget in 1997. Since then, Congress has typically relied on continuing resolutions or omnibus spending bills to fund the government. There should be 12 different funding bills, I guess, normally. And they're doing an omnibus bill and then just put it all on paper the last minute and then just pass it because they want to go home for Christmas. Well, F that shit. So people are saying shut it down. They've typically relied on continuing resolutions or omnibus spending bills to fund the government rather than completing the full budget process as intended by the 1974 Congressional Budget
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been?
What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened
by what has been. What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yeah, I'm here. It took a while, but you know, when you're not feeling good, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel, where I have a bucket, but I haven't needed it for almost 12 hours now. But I'm not taking any chances because everything is liquid. Doesn't matter which end is coming out. God, sorry, you didn't need to hear that. Anyway, what's today? Tuesday, the 7th of January, 2025. January 6th, 2025 has gone off without incident. And what has become increasingly obvious to me over the next past few hours, 12, 24 hours, 36 hours, is that Democrats had a coordinated plan and they have been attempting to execute it. Now, I don't know if it worked the way they wanted to. Apparently some rank and file Democrat voters and whatever, influencers and whatever, are kind of mad at the Democrats for not objecting yesterday to the certification of the votes that we watched on the show yesterday. And we were expecting fireworks, and it turned out to be very calm. And then I started going through X because I hadn't gone through X before I started the show, and I realized, oh my God, every Democrat politician and every Democrat influencer, whatever, all were rocking the same talking points yesterday, talking about how, oh my gosh, see, the Democrats, they believe in democracy and are following the rules, and they're all good boys and girls, and they're just so great. And I was laughed at it a little bit because, as you may well know, this is the first time. Well, I'll say since 1988, because that was the last Republican president that they didn't object to. Now, granted, you can't count the Clinton years because there's no Republican presidents, but obviously this is the first time in this century, let's put it, that the Democrats haven't objected to the vote count for a Republican president. And it's funny, they all came out with the same talking points yesterday. They all came out, they all said the same BS on X and other social media platforms. I saw it all over the place. And it's just funny. They obviously coordinated this. Someone sent out memos. The entire Democratic Party got it. And I would love to see what those memos are. I'm very curious, how that went about, because the people you would expect to be up there in a heartbeat complaining didn't. And it was clearly a coordinated effort. So anyway, we'll get to that and a whole bunch of stuff today because my time constraints are not time constraints other than if I have to pause for personal reasons during the show. We'll see. I hope I get through. It's been pretty good. My fever's down. And obviously my other issues. You can only expel so much liquid from your body before it stops. So I've got my water in a cup that doesn't do the disappearing thing. Okay, there you go. And thank God for water filters. We have a very nice, clean tasting water. So anyway, let's say hi to everybody and get this thing going. If you haven't shared the stream, or at least click the link at the top of the chat and dropped a GIF, a let's go, a meme or something celebrating the show today, please do so right now. Many of you have. I appreciate that. First in chat today, and I believe, is it CG, are you a non-123? I think you are. Anyway, waited patiently for me to start the show. So first in the chat today is a non-123, gets the bell. A non-123. Also, good morning, Avocados Diabli. And Tyler F. Good morning. It's Mike Savage, Blarg, Tyre, Alexander, The Scourge. Get a short music interlude on that one because I got a lot to get to. Boneheaded Dumbass. Wait, why is this not scrolling? What's going on here? What the hell? There we go. Now it's scrolling. Also, good morning, Boneheaded Dumbass. Reaction Puerto Rico. Attack Alpaca, Woodcutter, Select a Boy. Good morning, Lord Stanhope. Nomads in the house. A rare appearance, and we're glad to have you here. Also, good morning, too. Is that it? Is that everybody? Oh, and number one is here. Good morning. Hello. Okay, so people are slowly rolling in. 22 people, 7 likes. Hit the like button while you're thinking about it, while I mention it to you. And if you want to sponsor the show, well, you know how to do that. pdognight.live. I don't have it up there anywhere. I'm going to have to see if the old bot works today, because I'm just, it's kind of annoying that the bot hasn't been working lately, and I maybe have to go contact good old you just okay. Contact the old what do they call it? Streamlabs? Is that what I use? Yeah, Streamlabs. I got to contact Streamlabs to find out why my CloudBot's not reason. I mean, I could use a third-party one, but I don't like using third-party ones. I like the ones that are right here in the program. So anyway, if you want to sponsor the show, here, I'll drop the link at the top. Oops, copy and paste. There we go. If you want to sponsor the show, that would be greatly appreciated, since I'm missing a lot of work for this sickness shit. Anyway, but you're not obligated. Obviously, it's appreciated people who can, but I just like having the show go. So there you go. All right, let's get into. Oh, I got them. Thank you. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh Lord. Okay, I knew about that. By the way, if I'm assuming you can hear me okay, I just realized my monitor's turned down, so I can't hear myself. Let's see. Let's get into. Let's thank some people real quick. People who have retweeted the show. I see some funny ones here today. This is good. I love it when people do this. So of course, thank you, Somnambule Nation, for tweeting out the show. I appreciate that. You do it every day, like clockwork. I could almost set my timer that within 3 or 4 minutes of me starting up the stream. I said that redundantly. There's a notification. There you are, and I appreciate it. And I didn't even retweet it, did I? I meant to repost it too. Also, there we go. Wait, I thought I reposted all of these. Anyway, thank you. And then also we got the GIF. We got what's Belushi's character's name in this movie? I can't remember. Is it Bluto? No, not Bluto. Bluto's. Wait, what's his character's name in Animal House? But anyway, let's do it. Awesome. Thank you, Mike Savage. Let's us go. CG with the I am ready. The kitty with the sunglasses. That's hilarious. And then this one. Yes. Cheers to that, champ. Yeah. Thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico. Beer is good. Also, thank you, people who've retweeted the show. Robert Banks, CG, Scribe Light, Dog Thrapple, and Somnambule Nation. So thanks everyone who does that on the daily. Occasionally we get someone coming in from that, so I appreciate it. Oh, Kessler, I'm sorry, did I miss you? Oh no, you just got here. You had to just get here because I would have said your name earlier. So anyway, good morning, Kessler, too. All right, into the news. Lots of tabs open today. You're going to have a very long list when it comes into the. No, his name is not Wimpy. Blutarski, that's it. Charles Blutarski, yes, the senator from the great state of whatever state that is. Pennsylvania, maybe? I don't know. I can't remember what state they're. Are they in what state is the. What state. Here's a trivia question. What state does the movie Animal House, what state is it set in the fictional movie of fraternity life? in the movie Animal House, what state is it set in? So someone will have that answer in a minute. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is National Bobblehead Day. Yeah! That's our drunken state. Yes, it is a drunken state. National Bobblehead Day. I didn't know we had a National Bobblehead Day, but someone says, Happy National Bobblehead Day. Let's celebrate with a giveaway. Repost to be entered to win. Winner will be chosen at random on January 8th at noon. Go Shoes. I don't know what Go Shoes means. I only own... Oh, wait. No, I have two bobbleheads. One is this one. The Bob Ross bobblehead that my son gave me, because my son tends to give me Bob Ross-related gifts every Christmas, and I think it's hilarious. I don't know what made him start doing that, but it was funny. I mentioned Bob Ross once, and so ever since then, he's been giving me Bob Ross-related Christmas gifts. And then I have one of Kirby Puckett that we got back in not long after they won the World Series in 1991. And that one was just courtesy of some people who, I don't remember who gave that to me, but that was cool. But anyway, if you have a bobblehead, celebrate National Bobblehead Day. Here's Babe Ruth and Jake. I don't even know what that means. So anyway, people showing off their bobbleheads, and there you go. I guess I didn't know we had a National Bobblehead Day. People in the news, I don't have a celebrity birthday, but there is a noted death in the world, and this person apparently was not very popular. I'm not so familiar. He knows you're jealous of Bob Ross's righteous fro. Yeah, that's it. So, anyone know what state Animal House takes place in? Is it New Jersey? Anyway, you have a Tracy Lords bobblehead? Really? Interesting. Is that a euphemism? I don't know what that means. Anyway, a noted death in the world, Jean-Marie Le Pen has passed away. Apparently, people hate Jean-Marie Le Pen. I don't, apparently, let's see, Jean-Marie Le Pen was a vain and nasty man who tried to help the man who attempted to assassinate President Charles de Gaulle, foster the rise of the far right. He gave a terrible image to the country. He will not be missed by anyone of actual repute. Except maybe his daughter. I don't know. No one mourns the wicked. Everyone's mad about. Okay, he's not a very well liked man. Apparently, I don't. And apparently, someone say he was a Nazi sympathizer. They are obviously putting out the worst pictures of him because they hated him, and fascist politician. So. Anyway, let's see. Samir. French far-right politician Jean-Marie Le Pen dies at age 96. Now, this person says, had the pleasure of meeting Jean-Marie Le Pen at a charity once. He was surprisingly down to earth and very racist. Okay, so I guess people are kind of celebrating his death, and so who knows? I have no, I don't know enough about him. All I know is that he always had that, what's the word? He had that Nazi sympathizer thing attached to him, so probably not good. Anyway, moving on, Charlie Hebdo. Remember the magazine Charlie Hebdo? Today is the 10th anniversary since the Charlie Hebdo attack, when they did they dared to draw Muhammad on their cover a few times, and apparently 10 years ago today 12 people were murdered because some people didn't like a cartoon. Today Charlie Hebdo has to work from a secret location, and staff have bodyguards. It's staggering that writing satire in Europe in the 21st century can be a dangerous career. Yeah, I remember that event, and boy oh boy, I could get in trouble just for showing their cartoons if someone found out who I was. So anyway, that was a big controversy back then. Lots of people talking about it. Good morning, it's the 10th anniversary of the Charlie Hebdo massacre. Seeing that so many UK government leaders have warped understanding of free speech, it's a good day to remind them what free speech really is about. The right to free expression, regardless if it offends or causes discomfort or anxiety. The jihadis enforced blasphemy laws that existed inside their head through mass murder of journalists and cartoonists on this day a decade ago. Belief in blasphemy laws that their victims did not share. Yet the shocking response of some Western liberals was that Charlie Hebdo's publication of offensive cartoons under the guise of free speech was nothing more than a thinly veiled way of promoting Islamophobia and racially motivated bigotry. The subtext here is obvious. They blame the victim rather than the gunman who pulled the trigger that took their lives. Never mind that the paper routinely offended every group from Catholics to American rednecks whose towns were hit by a hurricane. The precarious state of free speech as it stands in the UK and the EU, for that matter, where people can and do get arrested for offensive social media posts, gives in to the moral framework of those ISIS thugs who had slain Stephanie Charbonnier and his colleagues on that fateful day. If only we worried less about stirring feelings of offense and appearing racist, perhaps we would have delivered justice for the victims and even stopped the grooming gangs terrorizing and raping young girls by now. So anyway, that's an unfortunate trend in the good thing I broadcast from a hidden location. Exactly. That trend in the EU and the UK. I just realized I am still in the Christmas theme. So let me allow me to fix that. It's no longer Christmas. Let me change rooms here real quick. Let's see. Let's just go back to let's go back to news. How about that? There we go. All right. Is that better? Now we're back to the news stream. Okay, moving on. Also trending. There's a bunch of stuff trending. Apparently, Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard are having a tiff. Now, again, sports news or celebrity news. I don't do a ton of it, but for some reason, they are just going back and forth on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, and apparently people are mad at Shaq not being a nice guy. So there's people here. So somewhere here, Shaq posted this. Dwight Howard, the fact that you think I care about you is funny. I won't ever bring your name. He must have said something to Shaq, don't bring my name up or something negative. So Shaq tweets, the fact that you think that I care about you is funny, but I won't ever bring up your name again, sensitive big man, a jokester that can't take a joke. Won't ever say your name again, ever again. Have a great day, and now you've been deleted. Have a great day. I never cared, trust me, I don't. And he did all these hashtags, it's kind of nasty little hashtags, to which Dwight responded, I know you care because you insecure ass has been hating and talking about shit for 20 years. You too big to be this insecure. Hope you don't bring my name up again. 52 years old, tweeting me, still hating. Now all this time you was joking. You always been jealous of Kobe. He put out a list here. Jealous of Kobe, Penny, Dwayne. You jealous of Charles too? Go move around, big lazy insecure ass. I still have that long 5-paragraph direct message you sent me a couple years ago telling me that I'm not that great to hate, and you still doing it. It's 2025. Grow the hell up and move on. So apparently people are taking Dwight Howard's side. So what is this? Someone saying, Shaq, you've been caring for years. So anyway, there's a beef between the big men, and don't know why they're having Twitter beef. So if you want to find out more about that, it's in the links today. But that's as far as I'm going with that bullshit. So there you go. Why would he be jealous of the rapist who had no luck with helicopters? Oh my God, I have no idea what that means. And no, I don't need a background that is now a row of ice shacks on a lake with one that has a partially open door with a leg provocatively sticking out of one. I should make that's funny. I should make we'll have to make what do you call it? AI photo, picture, whatever of that. That's, in fact, who can come up with the best AI ice shack hookers photo? Who can come up with that? So any of you AI people? I mean, I can do it, but they always come out weird because AI is weird. Anyway, here's an idea. I got an idea. Let's try this live using Grok. Let's use Grok and see if Grok can come up with this. Okay. Let's see. Grok, I need a background photo. If I could spell background right. Let's put background. Background photo. That is here. I'll just put in what you exactly said. Here we go. Copy, paste. Let's see what Grok comes up with. I need a background photo that is a row of ice shacks on a lake with one that has a partially open door with a leg provocatively sticking out of one. Let's try it. Let's see what Grok comes up with. Na. All right, here comes Grok. Uh-huh. Okay, here we go. Let's check it out. Here's the first choice. Now wait a minute. She is way too tall for that ice shack. That is not acceptable. Let's try the next one. Oh, well see, this is the problem with AI. They have problem with body parts and how body parts work, but there's another one. Oh, I didn't get this. I need a better screen on this, don't I? Let's go full middle on this. There's another one, okay? That one's not so good because the body parts are all messed up. Oh, this one's okay, but they fucked up the foot, and that seems to be a overly heavy-set chick. But whatever, it happens. Ice shack hookers. I can't imagine ice shack hookers are the best hookers you can find. And then finally, let's see. Oh, and there's another one. That's a big-ass leg sticking out of that ice shack. I'll be danged. What up? Well, we'll have to. I wonder if we could. Should we do it? Try again. Let's try again. Let's go again. Let's see if we'll do it. All right, let's see if we can come up with anything better, because those were terrible. We didn't say mutant hookers. Yes, we don't want mutant ice shack hookers. Sorry about that. Something didn't go as planned. Please try again. If you're still seeing this message, go ahead and restart the app. Okay, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's, please try again. Maybe that's because I didn't say please. Okay, here we go. Ice shack hookers. We're trying. This is a problem with AI. Oh, here we go. Let's see what we get. Let's see if it gets any better. All right, here we go. Here's our 4 choice. Oh my God, these are terrible. See, that's sometimes you got to just be more specific. Yeah, that leg's sticking right through the door. Oh my God. Okay. And that person has 3 feet. Okay. This is just the problem with AI in general. All right. So there you go. Now sometimes Grok does do pretty good AI photos, but it doesn't work always. All right. Moving on. JetBlue is trending. JetBlue. First of all, something happened to JetBlue a couple weeks ago. Not even a couple weeks ago. They have been fined $2 million for its chronic late flight delays. So here's someone talking about that, and I don't know who this guy is. He looks familiar. Let's see what it says.
For the first time in the history of the DOT, they have fined an airline, and I'm loving this story, for operating chronically delayed flights. Every month, the U.S. DOT publishes an on-time performance report on every flight, on every airline, but you could actually see which of their flights is always late. In the old days, TWA had a flight from New York to L.A. It was supposed to leave at 7 o'clock at night, get to L.A. about 9:45 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. It was flight 849. And it was a joke in the industry. Everybody knew that flight not as flight 849 on TWA, but flight late 49, because they always held that flight in New York for incoming flights from Europe that were never on time to begin with. So if you're ever taking that flight, bring a copy of War and Peace, because you read the whole book while you were waiting for that plane to take off. Well, this time, the DOT decided to enforce the rules.
Do you like this idea?
JetBlue about 2 hours ago, $2 million for operating chronically delayed flights. Let me give you some examples. The DOT found that JetBlue operated 4 chronically delayed flights at least 145 times.
Holy shit.
Between June of 22
and
November 23.
How do you do that?
I mean, it's the same flight.
If you're scheduling the flight.
JFK to Raleigh-Durham, if you want to know. But that's
all right. That's all you need to know. They got fined for that. But that's not the big story about JetBlue. The bigger story is Apparently, 2 bodies are found in the landing gear of a JetBlue plane at the Florida airport. That's concerning. Here's the article from the AP. 2 bodies were found in the landing gear of a compartment of a JetBlue aircraft at the South Florida airport, authorities said. The bodies were located in the wheel well area Monday night at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. Well, maybe if I'd rather the flight be delayed than having bodies in the wheel well. They were discovered during a route post-flight maintenance inspection. The aircraft had arrived in Fort Lauderdale shortly after 11 p.m. from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. At this time, the identities of the individuals and the circumstances surrounding how they accessed the aircraft remain under investigation. This is a heartbreaking situation. We commit to working closely with authorities to support their efforts to understand how this occurred. Paramedics declared both of them dead at the scene. Oh, really? When you say you found bodies, I'm assuming they probably dead at the scene. Anyway, the Broward County Sheriff's Office said Tuesday the agency's homicide and crime scene units are investigating. It said the individuals' names were not immediately released. Well, they don't. I thought they didn't know the names. So how? Excuse me. How do they know that? Of course, they didn't to release the names. They don't know them. It's the second time in the past month that a body has been found in the wheel well of an airplane. In late December, a body was found in the wheel well of a United Airlines plane after it landed in Maui from Chicago. My God! Wait a minute. Maybe they didn't know where that flight was going. You're going to try to get on a plane from Maui to Chicago or Chicago to Maui? You know how long that flight is that you're going to stand up there freezing? I mean, if you're going from Chicago to maybe Madison, Wisconsin, or Minneapolis, you might survive. But Jesus, from Maui to from Chicago to Maui, what an idiot! Hello, Sapphire Dragon. What's up? So anyway, there you go. That's the latest news. That's why JetBlue is trending. Moving on, NVIDIA is trending now. NVIDIA apparently, lots of people talking about what's happening. And I'm going to do a daily Krassenstein only because they're really into the tech stuff. Krassenstein says NVIDIA just dropped a game changer, Meet Cosmos. With 20 million hours of video training, NVIDIA's Cosmos is going to undoubtedly revolutionize robotics, autonomous driving, and more. This open source world model lets machines predict, plan, and adapt like never before using ultra-realistic virtual environments. Picture self-driving cars acing every road condition or robots mastering tasks in virtual worlds before stepping into the real one. This is the breakthrough set to redefine the future of AI and innovation. It's also kind of scary because, Skynet. Anyway, Cosmos doesn't just teach machines to react. It teaches them to anticipate, adapt, and excel in ways that could redefine robotics, automation, and the future of human progress. This can be used in virtual factories, medical procedures, space exploration, climate simulations, sports training, disaster response. We are going to be able to simulate virtually any scenario before actually bringing it to reality. These things are about to get real in robotics and all. And also, they've put out a new series of computers. Someone here, NVIDIA trying to KO both AMD and Intel. Maybe why AMD held back today. Jensen called his cousin, gave her the heads up. I don't know what that means. So anyway, they've been putting out some new stuff. They got a new GeForce. What do you call them? Graphics cards, whatever. What is you got to do 590, 580, 570, and Ti and a 570. Just for maybe that's what I should get. Although I don't have that much money, but yeah, I should redo my graphics card. But anyway, yeah. So they're really upping the game in robotics. Interesting. That's really interesting. The war against machines is too awesome to actually happen. Yeah, some days the machines are going to learn that we're expendable. That's what they're going to be able to build themselves. Greenland is also trending because Donald Trump apparently is still talking about Greenland, and I don't know why. I don't understand this thing. I know Greenland probably has some, some minerals or some fucking shit we need to make electric shit, but Elon Musk. Oh, rare earth minerals. That's what I meant. The people of Greenland should decide their future, and I think they want to be part of America. Well, I don't know why, and this is Molly Ploufkins, who hates Trump and Elon Musk. Greenland has an abundance of rare earth minerals that Musk wants. So Greenland, Denmark, and Iceland are all trending because of this. And so there's people saying, oh, Denmark and Greenland should ban the Trumps from visiting their territory. This is incitement, and it's a disgusting insult to a kingdom of more than 6 million people and a NATO ally at that. So what is they talking about? They're talking about this. I'm hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son Don Jr. and various representatives will be traveling there to visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites. Greenland is an incredible place, and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again. What is the point here? Hello, no. Oh, you're already here. What is the point here? I don't understand. And oh God, yeah, that's not cool. I don't understand what his big thing for Greenland is. And then so some of the lefties are mad. Well, the maggots, get it? Maggots are waiting for the price of eggs and gas to go down. Trump is distracting them with talk of Canada and Greenland because he's talking about annexing Canada too. I don't get it. I don't want more people on our welfare systems. Let's fix that shit first. So anyway, a lot of the lefty hate people are ripping Trump for this shit, and I don't understand why he's doing it anyway. Is it strategic? So anyway, Denmark is trending also because of that. But then here we go. Imagine suffering from TDS so badly that you think the United States would lose a war with Denmark, but they'd be at war with NATO too. We are NATO. So this is just showing NATO defense spending, which I don't know if you add all these up. If you add all these up, do they equal this? I'm gonna guess that they don't. We are NATO, which is the truth, and that's what Trump is trying to remedy. And then people are calling him a dictator. Oh yeah, they're gonna turn him into Hitler. Blah blah blah. Denmark, the country that owns Greenland, is literally the most anti-Trump country in Europe. You would lose 96-4 there, Donnie. 96-4 where? They're not talking about Denmark. I don't know. But anyway, so there you go. So that's why Greenland's trending, and Iceland. And the reason Iceland's trending is someone saying that they're comparing because the fact that Greenland and Iceland have kind of the names flipped in reality. And but someone says the EU is not complete without Greenland and Iceland, from Nuuk to Yerevan. And some people are saying that Iceland has more of a right to Greenland than Denmark. But who cares? I think this is all fluff talk. I don't think any of it's serious. Maybe, but you never know. It's Donald Trump. Sometimes he goes off on rails. Somebody named Jeff Duncan is trending. And apparently in the state of Georgia, they kicked out a Georgia Republican, Jeff Duncan. The Georgia Republican Party has voted to expel former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan from the party. Duncan was kicked out because he has spoken out against Trump and MAGA. At least that's the story. Here it is. Breaking: Georgia Republicans have formally expelled former Republican Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan from the Republican Party. Duncan endorsed Kamala Harris for president in 2024. I don't care about the formally. He kind of kicked himself out. Hello, Godzilla, by the way. Seems as though he may have kicked himself out. But they have formally expelled him. This is interesting. I don't see there's no stories attached to any of these. Former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan has been expelled. Duncan endorsed Kamala Harris for president in 2024 and has been attacking MAGA Republicans. Well, yeah, go join the Democrats. Go be Adam Kinzinger. I don't understand the formally expulsion, but whatever. So whatever that's worth, that's trending. Also, the Taliban is trending because people are talking about the Taliban again. And so half of the people are bitching because Donald Trump's going to be pardoning many of the January 6th people, probably the ones on lesser charges. And so people are bitching about the January 6th insurrection terrorists and comparing them to the Taliban. So this, for example, this gentleman right here, I use the term loosely. If and when Trump pardons the January 6th insurrection as terrorists, it will be like Afghanistan falling to the Taliban after Trump released 5,000 enemy combatants from prison. Yeah, no. It would be nothing like that, you dumbass. So, first of all, Trump had a deal with the Taliban and is thinking that probably he was going to be president again. And they already had this let's just say it would have been an enforced agreement about not fucking with the U.S. anymore. Because remember, after Donald Trump had his meeting with the Taliban, not a single American was killed for quite a long time until after the election of 2016. And then when Joe Biden came in office and changed the date and changed the terms to the agreement to withdraw from Afghanistan, that's when problems started really happening. But it's interesting because people are talking about this. Just think but let's get into some of these hyperbolic tweets. Okay, right here. Just think, if only Ashley Babbitt had complied, she'd be pardoned soon by the man who helped radicalize her. Not even the Taliban could top that. Way to make America great, assholes. Okay, fine. But here's the other problem with the Taliban. And Elon Musk brought this up. And usually when Elon Musk talks about something, it becomes a trending topic. So here, Laura Logan posted this. Imagine giving these terrorists $40 million of your tax money every week. Sounds crazy, but it is pure insanity. So here is, this is a letter from Tim Burchett, a member of Congress, wrote this letter to Donald Trump, who will be the president. He says Mr. President because you still address him as Mr. President because he was a president, but he will be the president again. Tim Burchett writes to Donald Trump. Dear Mr. President, congratulations on your decisive victory on November 5th, 2024. East Tennesseans cannot wait to have strong leadership in the White House again. I write to express my strong concerns with foreign aid being funneled to the Taliban. Did you know we were sending foreign aid to the Taliban? You probably did because you guys are informed, but I'm going to read this anyway. And my desire to work with your administration to stop tax dollars from going to terrorists. During the 118th Congress, it was brought to my attention the United States State Department under the Biden administration was funneling money to the Taliban. In fact, when I questioned the Secretary Anthony Blinken about this, he admitted that non-governmental organizations paid nearly $10 million of foreign aid to the Taliban in taxes. I don't that's poorly worded, but anyway, the larger issue which Secretary Blinken failed to acknowledge is the shipments of cash payments in the United States dollars to Afghanistan's central bank. These cash shipments are suctioned off, and after that, they are nearly impossible to track. This is how the Taliban is being funded and plans to fund terrorism around the world. In 2023, I introduced a bill requiring the State Department to discourage foreign countries from providing financial or material support to the Taliban and to report on direct cash assistance programs and Taliban influence over Afghanistan's central bank. My bill passed the U.S. House of Representatives unanimously. Unfortunately, then Majority Leader Chuck, the smarmy prick from New York, Schumer, refused to bring the bill to a vote in the Senate. I plan to reintroduce this legislation in the 119th Congress and would gladly welcome your support. The United States of America should not fund its enemies abroad. I implore you to take action to put an end to wasteful foreign aid spending and to support efforts in Congress to put Americans first. I look forward to working with you during your second term as president. Sincerely, Tim Burchett, member of Congress. So there you go. So when that person, the other person back there said, what they say, something about pardoning the January 6th. Oh, here it is. If and when Trump pardons the January 6th insurrection as terrorists, it will be like Afghanistan falling to the Taliban after Trump released 5,000 enemy combatants from prison. Well, only if the United States government funnels $40 million a month to the January 6th insurrectionists. You know, the insurrectionists, those guys, the insurrectionists, it was an insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. Just got to remind you, it wasn't an insurrection. So anyway, that is why the Taliban is trending. Let's move on. Oh, what's this? Should pay them in smoked hams. Yes, that would be much more appropriate. Pay them in smoked hams. And they might not even know what they were, and they might, well, never mind. Anyway, they may break their rules. Okay. Jack Smith is trending. Jack Smith, the illegally appointed special counsel. And apparently they want to release the results of the special counsel's investigation into Donald Trump, right? And so Adam Schiff, the pencil-necked shitbag from California, now a senator, saying the publishing the results of a special counsel investigation is the norm. Well, yeah, it's the norm if that's not what it was, though. This was not a special counsel investigation. This was a lawsuit that has been thrown out. So why would they publish the investigation? But they're going to do this before Trump comes in office because they're doing everything they can to weaken Trump before he gets inaugurated. So anyway, Adam Schiff says publishing results of a special counsel investigation is the norm. Making an exception to allow Jack Smith's report to be buried would be indefensible. The public deserves the facts. Well, no, here's the problem. This was a law case, right? So you're not publishing just the report. You're publishing a lawsuit that got thrown out because you were illegally appointed. And anyway, but they, of course, that issue has yet to be completely resolved, but that's why it got thrown out. So let's see what Adam, the pencil neck motherfucker from California, has to say.
What is your reaction to the Trump lawyers trying to block this report?
Well, I suppose at one level it's not surprising that they should try. They have no shortage of chutzpah, of nerve.
They're lawyers. That's what they do. Jesus H. Christ. When they try to prosecute Adam Schiff, I'm sure your lawyers will probably try to stop some shit too. Of course, they probably won't prosecute Adam Schiff, but you know what I'm saying.
But for the Attorney General to grant it, I think would be indefensible. For the reasons that you mentioned, historically, these reports are made public. These reports and the investigation underlying them are funded with taxpayer dollars.
Illegally?
And the public has a right to know. It is astonishing to me as we sit here, Lawrence, the crime was committed 4 years ago. And in 4 years' time, the Justice Department could not...
The alleged crime. Just saying.
Bring that offense to trial, not as against the main perpetrator in Donald Trump. If the Attorney General were to decide here to allow this report to be buried, the lack of justice would be followed with a lack of any kind of accountability by the Department of Justice for those most responsible for inciting that violence. So I think it would be...
Wait a minute, whoa. This is... He's got to make up his mind which one he's talking about. What is he... What? He doesn't know which crime is he talking about. I don't know what the crime he's talking about is. He's saying about the incitement of violence. That's not... Oh, my God. This is embarrassing.
Indefensible. I'm not surprised, I suppose, that they're trying. And it is, again, another shock that the criminal defense lawyers for President Trump, who are representing him, will be effectively running the Justice Department shortly. So
his lawyers should not defend him to the fullest extent they believe they can. Is that what you're saying, Adam? I don't understand what your point is here.
Unless this is made public and made public very soon, it will be buried. And as you pointed out earlier in your show, this case can be brought once the president is out of office. Nothing precludes that from happening. Whether it will or not may be another question. But nevertheless, allowing this report to...
This is all of this stuff has been lawfare to try to get Trump not be elected again. It's all been this has nothing to do with justice. It has to do with retribution, which the Democrats claiming that Donald Trump's going to do retribution. That's all they've been doing for the last 4 freaking years. It's all been about retribution. And they've made it very obvious. They come up with these novel charges for different things, those cases in New York are a joke, all of them. It's all about retribution. And now they're worried about retribution. That's what they're worried about now. By the way, I don't know. We still have 13 days, by the way. As I said up there, we have 13 days. We still have a whole bunch of shit Joe Biden's going to try to do, which he's done a couple already. We'll talk about that later. But anyway.
To be buried, particularly when there's so much effort at revisionist history, would be just indefensible.
Okay, you're almost as smarmy a prick as Chuck Schumer. So anyway, someone here says, "Dear Jack Smith, we could really use your findings and report right about now." Well, it doesn't matter. It's not going to stop Donald Trump from being president. Hey, Myra Garland, where's Jack Smith's report? You promised it would be released before you left office. So where is it? People are really want this Jack Smith report. Trump is trying to block the release of Jack Smith's findings. Last time I checked, President Biden can still publicly read every word of it on live TV and have it covered with absolute immunity. That is, no shit. So anyway, let's see. Jack Smith's document released by Judge Chutkan state that leading up to the violence of January 6th, Trump campaign literally said, make them right and do it. Now, oh my God. This is Jack Smith's report. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this not going to a trial. If you go strictly by Jack Smith's report, there is no cross-examination. There's no discovery on the evidence that he claims. There's nothing that it becomes a one-sided thing. It's like the Steele dossier. You can put that Steele dossier out there and put every little bit of innuendo and whatever you want, and it takes years to refute it. The one thing that would have been okay about this going to a trial is that at least they would have been able to fight the, whatever Jack Smith says is there. So it's fascinating, but all the left-wing influencers want this report out. So that's there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we got our first sponsor today. Avocados Diablo, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you, sir. Dropping a small bullet in the tip jar, starting the trend. And there we go. Avocados Diablo says, it is totally the norm to report the results of investigations or inquiries in a highly redacted manner. Ignore the Kennedy files that they are still sitting on as an example of them not doing so. Exactly. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Oh, Johnny Boomer Tech finally showed up. Way to go, Johnny. What the fuck are you doing over there? Anyway, so that's why Jack Smith's trending. Moving on. The Lake and Riley Act is trending. This one I didn't even look at, so let's find out what's going on. Oh my God. John Fetterman is sponsoring the Lake and Riley Act. It would make sure illegals are detained and deported before they can commit heinous crimes. I'm not sure what that means, how you detain them before they commit crimes. Let's see here. The House will vote today on the Lake and Riley Act to ensure criminals like Laken's murder are detained and deported before they can commit such evil acts. Reminder, President Biden never apologized to Laken's family for allowing her killer into our country, but he did apologize for calling that monster illegal. Oh my God. This is back when, did he say that? Let's see here.
Response to her heckling of you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between
you don't want to hurt his feelings by calling me illegal.
Was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people.
Okay, whatever, Joe. So anyway, now it's interesting because there are people who let's see, I want to go back up here because as I was looking at this, the first thing I saw when I saw this Lake and Riley Act was this tweet right here. Fuck the Lake and Riley Act. With states banning the filming of police officers and no one caring about the killing of black people, this is racism. It's happening because she's white? What? Hello, Aaron Meredith, by the way. What? And look, there should be no states banning the filming of police officers on public property. That's bullshit too. No, we should all agree with that. I'm fine with the fact that as long as they're not hindering an investigation, you can, if you're on public property and police are out there doing something, you should be able to film anyone in public with no expectation of privacy. Okay, so they're correct on that statement. But also the SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, just sent around a press release opposing the Laken Riley Act because they don't want young or poor illegal aliens being arrested and detained for shoplifting or something. Wait a minute. Can't Americans be stopped and detained and arrested for shoplifting? What? So here's their letter. On behalf of the SEIU's 2 million members, I urge a no vote on H.R. 29, the Laken Riley Act. Section 2 of this bill would impose a harmful solution to a non-existent problem. Oh, it's non-existent, is it? Despite loud and endless fear-mongering by some, there is no immigrant crime wave, and in fact, immigrants are less likely than others to commit crimes. How many times do we have to say that is if you do not distinguish between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants? That is that bullshit claim that comes up over and over again. That's when you do not, yes, the documented legal immigrants, yes, commit fewer crimes than your native-born Americans. There's no way to track illegal immigrants because first of all, the very first thing that an illegal immigrant did was commit a crime by crossing into our country. So let's start with that. But the fact that there is no crime wave, well, really, it's interesting because we're seeing it. Everyone sees it. And that's why people don't listen to you motherfuckers. Anyway, they continue. If further proof is needed, crime has plummeted in recent years. At the same time, immigration has increased. False. It's up 4%. The opposite of what would have happened if immigrants posed a danger. Of course, some immigrants commit crimes, even horrible ones, the same way as other groups of people. But excessive punishment and collective punishment for the crimes of a few undermine the rule of law because they are antithetical to the values that justify what? That justify and undergird our criminal justice system? Wait a minute. Hold on. What do you mean collective punishment? They're not asking for collective punishment. They're asking punishment for crimes committed. That's not collective punishment for specific people who commit crimes, like you would for any native citizen. But on top of being doing that crime, if you're an illegal immigrant, you should be out of here. Sorry, you shouldn't have been here in the first place. So what are you talking about? It makes no sense. The Laken Riley Act would require indefinite incarcerations of non-citizens accused, not even convicted, of shoplifting and other property crimes, regardless of circumstances. What circumstances? Without minimizing the seriousness of shoplifting as an offense, it hardly merits lengthy detention in every case without regard to age or mitigating circumstances. What are the mitigating circumstances? You weren't supposed to be here. Hello, Midnight in Exile. What's up? So there you go. That's the SEIU jumping in on this particular idea. Anyway, but I'm surprised. Well, John Fetterman's sponsoring it. You know what? He's going to get on every Democrat's bad side. In fact, interesting enough, speaking of John Fetterman, he met with Scott Pressler recently. The guy, the guy who does all the Republican get out the vote campaigns in Pennsylvania and all over the East Coast. That's interesting. Is Fetterman gonna flip sides? Here, breaking. John Fetterman has become the first Senate Democrat to sponsor the Laken Riley Act. The bill aims to ensure detention and deportation of criminal aliens before they can commit heinous crimes like the tragedy involving Laken Riley. And so people are saying we must pass this act. What's going on with John Fetterman? He's going to be in trouble. All right, so that's why that's trending. Zuckerberg is trending. Now, wow, big things going on at Facebook. Which some are calling fake book or whatever. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg has decided to eliminate fact checkers and adding community notes to Facebook, much like X does. which is amazing, I think. In fact, my favorite Poe on the internet, Angela Belcamino. Good morning to everyone who agrees that Zuck is doing the right thing by bringing back free speech and ending media fact-checking. Hey, I agree. So here's Zuckerberg put out this notice. By the way, I think Facebook's going to be moving their what do they call it? The safety and whatever, that shit, the safety committee. They're moving that portion of Facebook from California to Texas. What is going on? Is Zuckerberg going full MAGA? What is going on with Mark Zuckerberg? So here's Zuckerberg talking about this. We'll see how long I can stand listening to him, because I really don't like listening to Mark Zuckerberg. I'm sorry, I don't like listening to data.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
I want to talk about something important today.
Oh great, Mark.
It's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Hell yeah.
I started building social media to give people a voice.
Okay.
I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression.
Are you just trying to get good graces?
But a lot has happened over the last several years.
Like what?
There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more.
They sure have.
A lot of this is clearly political.
Yep.
But there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly.
Sections of Facebook
so
you don't want to go
we built a lot
to.
of complex systems to moderate content.
Good.
But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes.
Yes.
Even if they accidentally censor just 1%
usually
of posts,
in the wrong direction,
that's
same
millions
direction.
of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship.
Oh, he's acknowledging. Okay. The direction this is going, I'm okay with it. I'm not a big Facebook person, but I do post shit on Instagram that I automatically post to Facebook, so a lot of my friends see that shit. But interesting.
The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
We'll see if this works.
More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes.
Because the fact checkers are so freaking biased. Look, all the fact checkers are left on the left. Basically, they've used only left-wing fact checkers. I think they had the only one that they had from the right was, I believe, the Daily Wire, but rarely used. Okay, so they're going to replace them with community notes. That's interesting because it works pretty well on X. Both sides get fact check on a regular basis. And I think it works well. And I think maybe he likes that idea. Let's see what he says about this.
Similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy.
Yes,
we tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse.
Good.
What started as a movement...
That is going to piss the most people off. Because the loudest people who bitch about that is going to be those people, the T's and the T community supporters.
To be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions,
absolutely,
and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
Who wrote this for him?
I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations.
Good! That's all that should be!
For lower-severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms.
Oh, this is going to piss off all the lefties.
We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts.
And guess what? The bad stuff is why you have freedom of speech. No one needs freedom of speech for the good stuff. You need freedom of speech for the bad stuff. And what is bad stuff? Oh, that Brazilian jiu-jitsu may have kicked in his testosterone production. Maybe. Who knows? That's funny. This second generation clone doesn't look any better than the first generation, but it sounds a little bit better. Well, we'll see how this really goes. That's the thing. I'm not on Facebook enough to know, but I know what I have a lot of super left-wing friends on Facebook because I don't talk politics on Facebook at all. The only stuff I put on Facebook from Instagram that automatically posts on Facebook are my joke channel and my travel channel, but which I don't do that much stuff with any. Well, the joke channel I do, but Marty got jokes if you're wondering. But this is interesting. If this is real, because I don't think Mark Zuckerberg is real. I think he's a robot. But if this is real, I like the idea, and I think all social media should be this way.
Accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed.
Oh, I don't know about
so we
that.
stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era.
Why are you recommending posts anyway? Why are you picking and choosing what posts to go up and get out there anyway? If I have 1,000 followers on Facebook, they should all be able to see whatever I put on. That's the way I see it. This drives me nuts about algorithms with social media platforms. You post something, and not everybody that follows you sees it, or even gets a chance to see it, because they'll only send it out to a handful of your followers, the maybe ones who interact with you the most. And then if they respond at all to that, then they'll send it out to more people that maybe follow you and more people that, who don't follow you. But it's always on a gradual scale. If someone interacts with it, that's when they will send it out to more people, rather than just sending it out to all of your followers. And then if all your followers interact with it, then it could go, it'll go farther. But it's just weird that the platforms work like this. Maybe it's just because there's just, maybe people would be overwhelmed with all the stuff that'd be on their feed. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams
to Texas!
Out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas.
This is the best part. You know what? Because California probably has laws restricting what they can do there as far as free speech, and so they're moving it to Texas. Now, are they going to take the people from California and send them to Texas? They're going to redo, their entire staff when they get to Texas. I don't know.
As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams.
Okay.
Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The U.S. has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the U.S. government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the U.S. government has pushed for censorship.
Right.
By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right.
Genuine, even smiling said that. Hello,
they're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove.
Yeah,
but the bottom line.
Yeah, you know what you're talking about. You know what he's talking. You know what he's talking about there. You know exactly what he's talking about there, because Facebook had some has a little problem with secret groups of, well, I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know what I mean.
Of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
All right, look, if that's real, if that is what they actually do, more power to them. But again, here it is. So here they are. Let's go down here and see people bitching about this now. Okay, right. The next one. But of course, those pesky old facts can get in the way of Zuck's Trump ring kissing. Because you failed to see the second part of that they're still going to have community notes, right? Cheese pizza enthusiasts. Yes, there was a problem where they weren't taking out that type of content fast enough, Lord Stanhope. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So let's see. Let's roll down this and just see how people are reacting. Colin Wright on the right. Elon Musk and X created the permission structures that allowed Zuck to follow. Okay. John Favreau's total lefty. I don't think it's very funny that Aaron Sorkin's portrayal of Zuck in The Social Network now seems too flattering. Because you're mad, be mad. Zuck following with Musk with community notes. Woke and censorship are out while common sense and free speech rights are in. Okay, that's good. I want to find a lefty talking about this. If you think Zuck is fake or copying Elon, you've got to remember that he got rich really, really young. No management experience, nothing. Age-wise, Zuck could literally be Elon's son. He's not copying Elon. He's just learning from him. Don't hate on learning. That's a good point, I think. I'm trying to find people pissed off about this. Zuck copying community notes. Yeah, I got you. This isn't a vibe. This isn't a vibe shift. Zuck got cucked by Elon. Good God. I'm surprised there's not more people bitching about this. Let's see. Mark Zuckerberg just announced that he is bringing you. Okay. Oh, also, by the way, he's also bringing UFC CEO Dana White on board at. Okay, it's California, Texas. Here, Dana White. He's bringing on Dana White on the board of directors, I think. Dana White joins the board of directors at Meta. Here it is. I'm excited to kick off the year with some news we've been working on for a while. Dana White, John Elklem, Charlie Songhurst are joining the Meta board of directors. We have massive opportunities ahead in AI, wearables, and the future of social media. And our board will help us achieve our vision. Dana is the president and CEO of UFC, and he has built it into one of the most valuable, fastest growing, and most popular sports enterprises in the world. I've admired him as an entrepreneur and his ability to build beloved brand, Mark Zuckerberg. So he's bringing on Dana White. What the hell? Let's see what this part says. Is this the same thing? Oh, and then Dana White writes, I have never been interested in joining a board of directors until I got the offer to join Meta's board. I'm a huge believer that social media and AI are the future. I am very excited to join this incredible team and learn more about this business from the inside. There's nothing I love more than building brands, and I look forward to helping take Meta to the next level. So that's interesting because, Dana White's a Trump guy, right? So Dana White on the Meta board of directors. What are they showing here? Oh, they're not giving Zuck anything. What are they doing here? They're passing something over. So anyway, tell us again how violence against women ruins men's careers. Dana White slapped his wife on video, faced zero consequences, now joins the Meta board of directors. Okay, there you go. This is where they're going to come out swinging. Today, Mark Zuckerberg announced that this guy, Dana White, seen here slapping the shit out of his wife, is now joining Meta board of directors. I don't know anything about that. Did that happen? I didn't hear about that. Dana White is now on Meta's board, and Zuck gave $1 million to Trump inauguration. Mark Zuckerberg is playing to win. So anyway, you can certainly scroll down through that. And then fake book. Fake book is also trending, which is obviously related to Facebook, because some people are very skeptical about this, and they should be. Oh, infamous one. I said hi earlier. I don't know if you heard me, but hello. I see you in the chat there. Let's see. So here it is. Some people are still calling it fake book, and from both sides of the spectrum. Hello, Shrapnel. His wife punched him first, did she? I didn't know that. I don't know anything about that. Dana White is moving power slap to Facebook. Yeah. Someone here, Kristen, did I miss the part where he apologized to American citizens for his company's behavior the last 4 years, especially during COVID? Sorry, fake book. You're still dead to me. Here's another one. Now that Trump is being reelected, fake book decides to eliminate his censorship and misinformation shtick. Another win for sanity. Okay, they're still calling it fake book though, which is not friendly. Oh, here's one. This desperate attempt from Zuckerberg to get back at Elon is obvious. He endorsed his major role influencing the 2020 election won't be forgotten. X's stuff has stuff going on, sure, but fake book penalties were worse for me, and I haven't been throttled here since joining. Okay, so that's because maybe you joined after Elon Musk. So anyway, a lot of people talking about fake book. All right, let's get into some articles. And I mentioned, as I was talking about the name of the show today, 13 Days, and the, what do I call it? I don't even remember what I call it. I can't see that. Let's try this way. Oh yeah, Coordinated Calm Edition. So yesterday we watched the confirmation of the Electoral College on the House of Representatives feed on this show, and noted that not a single objection was made to any of the electoral votes. And yesterday, as I stopped the show and went back to bed, and I just kind of scrolled through Twitter before I fell asleep, and I might even throw it up once more. I was noticing that all of the Democrats on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, were all making the same talking points. All the influencers, all the Democrats, how the Democrats are so, you look, the Democrats did this the way it was supposed to be doing, and blah, 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 and there was no violence, and this and that, and yada, 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 because January 6th. They're all talking about January 6th, and how January 6th was the worst day in American history, worse than World War II, worse than... oh, by the way, the other day, remember we were, someone was posting about how they were saying it was worse than the Civil War, worse than as bad as the Civil War, as bad as 9/11, as bad as the Holocaust. But they were talking about in American history, which I was trying to think, wait a minute, the Holocaust, was that part of American history? I mean, granted, we did go and fight in the war that, kind of tried to fix that shit, but I don't remember the Holocaust being a part of American history. So anyway, I'm not the only one who noticed, though. Oh, shoot, I skipped an article. I skipped a thing. Well, we'll come back to this. We'll come to that one. I noticed, though, that all these Democrats were having the same talking point. They all wanted talking points for about yesterday. And I was thinking to myself, did a memo go out to all... Yes, it was Sonny Hostin. Thank you. Did a memo go out to all the Democrats that they were to, one, make social media posts about January 6th, 2021, and be on their best behavior during this certification of the Electoral College votes? Because, again, as I said, first time this century, first time since 1988, a Republican president is elected, and not a single Democrat objected to the counting of the votes. Now, was it because it was overwhelming and obvious? Maybe. But all last week, I'm watching the Democrat influencers talking about how, 14th Amendment, we got to, there's shenanigans going on. There were bomb threats in some of the states and all this stuff about how they would have to object to these votes. And a lot of the Democrats, who are not like Democrats, but they're Democrats, voters, are very angry about yesterday, why there were no objections. And it's because the Democrat Party obviously has a strategy involved. So let's go through some of these articles talking about yesterday, and you'll kind of see what I mean here. So first, this one from the Daily Wire. Kamala presides as Congress certifies Trump's 24 victory. We watched it live, right? With Vice President Kamala Harris presiding, Congress certified President-elect Donald Trump's and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's victory in the 2024 election on Monday. The House and Senate received Electoral College votes in less than an hour. With reading of certificates from the states and the District of Columbia, the GOP ticket won 312 of them. Congress certifies our great election victory today, a big moment in history. MAGA, Trump exclaimed in the post on Truth Social. Harris, who lost the presidential election, watched over the proceedings as president of the Senate, and it was Harris who ultimately declared the final tally and the winners. So we watched that. So there's that. Now, and by the way, they did have extra security around the White House, or excuse me, the Congress, the area around there. But there was 5-7 inches of snow on the ground. So people who did show up basically just went out there and had snowball fights, and there was no real violence, right? So that's that. We saw that. We watched it, right? Now, here's in Front Page Magazine, someone noticed the same thing I did. How this was just it was so clean and neat and blah, blah, blah. And there must have been a strategy. So here's in Front Page Magazine, an article by Daniel Greenfield. Why didn't any Democrats object to Trump's certification for the first time this century? Well, I'm wondering that too. I've been wondering. So Greenfield says, in the past, I pointed out that Democrats objected to every single Republican presidential victory this century. The Washington Times, however, notes that this time around, it was the first time congressional Democrats did not raise a challenge to a Republican winner of the presidential election since certifying George H.W. Bush's victory in 1989. The obvious question is, well, why not? Yes, that's what I'm wondering. Exactly. It's the same question I had. Beyond objecting to George W. Bush's first win over hanging chads, Democrats raised objections to Bush's second win over the claims of voter suppression. And everyone remembers the madness in 2016 when Democrats tried everything from recruiting faithless electors to claiming Trump conspired with Russia to win. So here's a little flashback of that circus. Representative Jim McGovern of Massachusetts rose to object to the certificate from Alabama. Quote, "The electors were not lawfully certified, especially given the confirmed and illegal activities engaged from the government of Russia," McGovern said. Representative Barbara Lee, California, brought up voting machines and Russian hacking when she objected following the counts of Michigan's vote. "People are horrified by the overwhelming evidence of Russian interference in our election." Bullshit. After New York's tally was read, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas stood up to object. "I object to the massive voter suppression that included," she began. Hillary Clinton won New York, but Representative Sheila Jackson Lee was the dumbest person in Congress. I didn't pay attention when I was reading. I did not. I'll check. Okay, thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico. I did not even read that. After New York's tally was read, she objected to the massive voter suppression for New York. Clinton won New York. Now suddenly Democrats are on their best behavior and bragging about it. And that's why they're on their best behavior. So they could brag about it. "We accept the results even though we don't like them because our loyalties lie with the Constitution and the rule of law," Senate Chunk Minority Leader Smarmy Prick from New York Schumer, New York Democrat, said in floor remarks ahead of the certification. "We only hope what happens today, rather than what happened 4 years ago, stands as a shining example of future generations and how one conducts themselves in a free democracy." Fuck off, Chuck. And then Jamie Raskin added, "We have to show our colleagues that you cannot turn on and turn off your fidelity to the Constitution according to whether or not it serves your party's interests." Okay, Brillo. Anyway, really, let's go back to 16. Jamie Raskin of Maryland rose to object to 10 of Florida's 29 electoral votes. They violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holders, Raskin said. Now, why did Raskin, who wouldn't even commit to the process a few weeks ago, because remember, he said they were gonna find ways to not let Donald Trump be president, and who objected in 2016, go along with things now? The short answer is that the whole thing was tactical. Yeah, Democrats decided that a while back that the 2016 tantrums are not advisable and no longer work and are probably pointless anyway since Trump secured his second term. Now they're bragging about how much they respect the constitutional process, not because they actually do, but because it serves to cover a change of strategies. So that's one opinion. We'll get into more in a moment. But first, thank you, Avocados Diabli, dropping another small bullet in the tip jar saying, I wouldn't give them too much credit, even if they wanted to object the rule changes they made in 2021 after that whole thing pretty much tied their hands. Plus, not like they won't still be taking actions to stop him from entering office or just impeding him. No, they're going to do something between now and January 20th. But yeah, they did make that rule change that went into effect in 2022. They wrote the rule in 21, saying that the vice president, the president of the Senate, has no authority to do anything. They've taken away that authority. Even if they found actual voter fraud in some state and the state says we can't certify our votes, they can't do anything about it. They still have to certify on January 6th. I mean, it's just crazy. But all the states did finally turn in their certified results, and so now we're going to have, in theory, a President Trump again, depending on what they do. So anyway, so now some of the things that they did on January 6th, and some of these statements that they made are so over the top lies that it's incredible. Let's start with Joe Biden. Okay, and this is a Breitbart article. A right-wing source, if anybody's watching, going, oh, you're using a Breitbart, they're unreliable, right-wing, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? I know they're a right-wing source. Duh. Most of my sources are, although I use AP, I use ABC, I use NBC, MSNBC. I use all sorts of sources. But here, this one's Breitbart. They're right-wingers. Joe Biden uses January 6th to smear Donald Trump in a Washington Post editorial. Joe Biden used an op-ed on Sunday. Okay. I hate when they make the headline the same as the first line. Biden ran for president in 2020, pledging to restore decency and honor to the White House. That pledge appeared to fail once again after Biden's piece was published in the Washington Post under the headline, quote, "What Americans Should Remember About January 6th." You know, they really want you to only see the visuals and narrative that they want you to, and they will never tell you, for example, that when they took Trump down from Twitter, of course, he'd been tweeting all day about stay peaceful, we respect the police officers, blah, blah, blah. They always forget that part, saying, oh, he did nothing. He did nothing for 3 hours. Well, what did he do in the third hour that got people to leave the Capitol building? Because it's kind of like the whole thing just fizzled out. They left on their own. Like, this was the worst government takeover event that I've ever seen in my life. They say it was an attempted coup. They were going to take over the federal government. Well, they got in the building. How did they not take over the federal government? Did they wandered around a while and decided, well, maybe we won't take it over today. Or maybe it wasn't an attempt to take over the United States government. By the way, they did a shitty job. They didn't burn down any buildings or anything. What the hell? So anyway, in the opinion article, Biden tried to divide Americans by reminding them about events surrounding the previous election and the fallout. An unrelenting effort has been underway to rewrite, even erase the history of that day, to tell us we didn't see what we all saw with our own eyes. We've only seen what the media has allowed us to see with our own eyes, and we're seeing tons of other footage that tells us, oh, maybe they weren't telling us the whole story. That's what we're not seeing. And so maybe some of us have seen more since then and going, oh, maybe this isn't exactly the narrative they intend, or, this doesn't fit the narrative that they've been telling us this whole time. But he continues to dismiss concerns about it as some kind of partisan obsession, to explain it away as a protest that got out of hand. That's exactly what it was. And it had some help with some flashbangs and people beating people on the head with clubs, and some idiots who weren't necessarily part of the crowd because they were there long before the people from the ellipse showed up, and they were already breaking shit. The building was open by the time the people from the ellipse got over there. But let's not let the facts get in the way of anything. In time, there will be Americans who didn't witness the January 6th riot firsthand. Oh, at least he says riot. He doesn't say insurrection. Hello, K-Show. In time, there will be Americans who didn't witness the January 6th riot firsthand, but will learn about it from footage and testimony of that day, from what is written in history books, and from truth we pass to our children. Oh, my God. We don't have the truth yet. We cannot allow the truth to be lost. Thousands of rioters crossed the National Mall and climbed the Capitol walls, smashing windows and kicking down doors. No, thousands did not smash windows and kick down doors. There were a handful of people there before all those people crossed the National Mall that were already breaking into a single door. And then the Capitol Police, as we've seen footage of, or some shady characters, were letting people in the other doors that they opened themselves. So no. And in fact, we've seen footage of one person smashing windows who didn't necessarily want to be seen smashing windows, and he tried to pawn it off on someone else standing near him and almost tried to attack the guy because he was there clearing out a window. He was dressed all covered in black and had his face covered so no one could see who he was, but then tried to pawn it off on someone else who was in the crowd, as that guy was trying to stop him from breaking windows. So no, thousands of rioters weren't breaking windows. Thousands of rioters were not kicking down doors. Many of the doors were opened for them by Capitol Police. Let's get it straight there, Joseph. Just blocks away, a bomb was found. Oh my God. Listen to this. I forgot about this part. Just blocks away, a bomb was found near the location of the incoming vice president, threatening her life. Wait a minute. I thought she wasn't there. Remember? She said, oh, she was at the DNC. So weren't most of the charges about some of these January 6th people because the vice president was supposedly in the Capitol building? But no, she was over at the DNC. And guess what? Notice he only says the bomb was near the location of the incoming vice president. He doesn't mention that there was also a bomb at the RNC. So again, this is all narrative pushing by Joe Biden. Law enforcement officials were beaten, dragged, knocked unconscious, and stomped upon. Some police officers ultimately died as a result. That is a flat out lie. And they're all saying, they're all still saying, because if you say it enough, just like calling it an insurrection over and over and over again, that some people will be convinced, well, there was an insurrection. Well, that's not even the definition of an insurrection, first of all. An insurrection would be planned. It'd be an attack. It'd be coordinated. There'd actually be a purpose to it. The bombs, there was the pipe bombs at the DNC and the RNC that, funny that they still haven't caught that person yet. Over 5,000 tips on that, and no one's found that person. They've got the person walking all around Washington, D.C. on camera in different places. They still haven't found that person. That's amazing that they haven't, just haven't found them. But some police officers ultimately died as a result. No, they didn't. One had a stroke, died from a stroke later, and there's two others that confirmed committed suicide, and they said the four of them did, but none of them died as a result of anything that happened at the Capitol, unless you can't blame that event for them killing themselves. Or did they kill themselves? We don't know. A couple of them had some mysterious circumstances. Biden's op-ed failed to mention the partisan nature of the January 6th committee and its ultimate failure of preventing Trump from winning re-election. Trump's landslide victory. I wish they'd stop calling it a landslide victory. It's certainly a wave victory. There was a major wave from one way to the other that he won the election. It's not a landslide. Not a landslide in popular vote, electoral vote. It's a big win, but there have been far bigger landslide victories. Both of Reagan's victories, Nixon in 72, those were landslides. Those were like 49 states. That's a landslide. But anyway, but Trump's victory was the greatest comeback in American political history. He overcame political opponents, tried to imprison him, bankrupt him, assassinate him, remove him from the ballot, and to make him politically irrelevant by introducing a partisan committee investigation, or a partisan committee to investigate January 6th. So that is all true. So now we move into some of these other dipshits. This is top 10 lies of the January 6th committee. We'll move that over. That's I'm going to move that over here. Let's go to the next one. Claire McCaskill, who's bitter that Trump didn't pay a higher political price for January 6th. The reason he didn't pay a higher political price is because your narratives were bullshit. I'm not even going to play. I'm going to play the video here. Let's see. Let's watch Claire McCaskill. We'll do it on YouTube. And hang on a second. All right.
Doesn't mean that we should stand by and allow him to do whatever he wants to damage our institutions and our country.
Claire McCaskill, let me bring you in on this. I mean, as the congressman points out, you have a credibly accused rapist in Pete Hegseth. You have a self-described dog murderer in Christy Nome.
Wait, what? Did she just call Pete Hegseth a credibly accused rapist? There are... So notice how look how careful their language is too. Notice how the language is there so they can have plausible deniability. A credibly accused. Not calling him one, but saying he's a credibly accused. Based on what? Not on the police reports. Hi, JB. What's up? Unbelievable. She just did that. And what was the next thing she said?
Hegseth, you have a self-described dog murderer in Christy Nome.
Self-described dog murderer. Oh my God.
You have someone found liable for sexual assault in Donald Trump and a convicted felon. You have...
yeah, they love that convicted felon thing too. Boy, those 34 bullshit counts, which will be destroyed on appeal. That's the only reason that they put those charges the way they did, so they could say there are 34 felony counts. It's one lawsuit with a bullshit workaround to make it a felony. In fact, the felony supposedly happened because of influencing the election, but the actual acts happened after the election. He wrote the checks and after the election. The accounting happened after the election. How do you influence an election with something that happens after the election? You can't. It's the dumbest charges ever, and it will be blown out of the water on appeal for multiple procedural issues and just for some other bullshit. So anyway, let's see what else she says.
Have an incoming president who describes people who physically beat law enforcement officers, who describes that beating as a, quote, love fest. Love fest.
Oh, God. Use selective words. Use selective words. The love fest was at the Ellipse where they had the rally, okay? It's like they will twist and turn Donald Trump's words every single time, apply something he said about one thing to another, take words that just happen to be bad words in their minds completely out of context. They're just propagandists. It's embarrassing.
How do you protect everyone else in the chain of the rule of law? How do you protect the jurors? How do you protect the judges?
What jurors?
How do you protect
what are
the
you
courts
talking about?
themselves?
Well, today was certainly a bittersweet day, and candidly, I'm bitter. I mean, I'm bitter that a higher political price wasn't paid for what Donald Trump did on January 6th. Something is broken, and we need to acknowledge that. And the other thing we have to keep front of mind, Nicole, is that Donald Trump didn't win 50% of the votes.
Really, Claire? But he won the plurality, right? And so now this is their remember when Bill Clinton didn't win 50% of the votes? I think he won like 43% of the votes, but he was still president. Did you complain then, Claire? I bet you didn't say a freaking word about that then, Claire. Back in 1992, he won a plurality. Yeah, have you ever brought that up since? Did Bill Clinton have was Bill Clinton a legitimate president, Claire? I'm just curious.
This is an evenly divided country.
Okay. Yeah.
It's about half and half. And a chunk of those folks that voted for Donald Trump ignored everything except the fact they don't like the status quo. The anti-incumbency thing was real. It's real all over the world. Good, because the government sucked. The hangover from COVID and the inflation and the pain that people felt, and frankly, a lot of the immigration patterns around the world have made people feel like things are out of control.
Yes, and guess what? Kamala Harris was not going to fix that. And so, if you think people set aside some things because of who was running, well, yeah, they did. Duh.
And they didn't want the status quo. They didn't want somebody who is close to an incumbent, if not seen as an incumbent. But that doesn't mean they buy into everything Donald Trump represents.
Okay.
So the one thing I would say today is,
I bet you half the people who voted for Kamala Harris don't believe or buy into everything Kamala Harris says, because she didn't say much. No one knew what the fuck she was saying anyway, because she's like the biggest chameleon out there. But anyway,
I get it. I talk to people every day who says, Claire, I'm just tuning out. I'm so discouraged. I'm so depressed. I'm just tuning out. We cannot tune out. We have to tune in. 50% of the country agrees with us. 50% of the country doesn't want this. They don't want somebody who played footsie with Assad in charge of our intelligence community. They do not want a guy who, frankly, is not capable or competent running the finest military in the world. They do.
Compared to what? Compared to the current guy? Compared to the guy who has 5 generals wearing male generals in dresses? That guy? The guy who's bringing drag shows to Navy ships? That guy? What does that have to do with being in the military? What the fuck?
Not want people who attack police officers pardoned for their crimes. So
now I don't even know if he's going to pardon the people who attacked police officers. I want to know if the people who were fighting with police officers were attacked first too, though. Because I'll tell you what, that one line right down at the bottom, there's a line of people at the bottom. All of a sudden, out of the blue, two of the officers just started beating the shit out of people for no reason with their batons. And that's when all hell broke loose. So that's the thing. They don't show you that part. They show you after the melees have started. But they don't show you how in some of those cases, the Capitol Police were instigating the battle.
There's work to do here. And, together...
but we're fine with Biden pardoning murderers, or at least commuting sentences. Yeah, really, the presidential pardons has always been controversial. Every president has some controversial ones. And look, most of those people who were there on January 6th did not commit any violence. So that's where they should start.
We are going to do it. Others on this network are going to do it. But the people in this country have to decide that they don't quit fighting just because
she just said fighting. She just said she is fomenting violence. And that's the rules, right?
Trump won the Electoral College, and that's what...
And the popular vote. Why? Wait.
They don't quit fighting just because Donald Trump won the Electoral College.
Trump won the election no matter how you'd slice it, but the Electoral College is how we count them, so that's all we need. But he also won the popular vote. Claire, he won the popular vote. Not that it matters, but he won the popular vote too. That was definitely a call for violence, wasn't it? Hey, Darren Root, what's up?
And that's what Kamala Harris represented today. And she did it with a smile on her face, and I couldn't have been prouder of her.
Yeah, because there was a memo that went out. Nobody fucks around. And plus, she couldn't do anything else because they wrote a law that doesn't allow her to do anything else. And that's one of the reasons why it went off the way it did. It had nothing to do with what they really wanted to do. They sent out a memo. There'll be no objections. There's nothing. I can't, because she can't do anything about it anyway.
Much more on that part of the story in a second. Congressman.
Oh, she's so excited that she said that and shit. Whatever. Fucking Nicole Wallace. Anyway, all right. So let's see. Hang on. Where's the one that I wanted? There was one more. We'll get into some of the January 6th stuff too. But another example of complete bullshit about January 6th, Merrick Garland also uses cops who died by stroke, suicide to rewrite the history of January 6th. Wait, what? Okay. So, as you know, not a single Capitol police officer was killed on January 6, 2021. Yet, Attorney General Merrick Garland's dishonest statement about the protest released Monday may have people thinking otherwise. Quote, this is Merrick Garland. On this day 4 years ago, police officers were brutally assaulted while bravely defending the United States Capitol. They were punched, tackled, tased, and attacked with chemical agents that burn their eyes and skin. Today, I am thinking of the officers who still bear the scars of that day, as well as the loved ones of the 5 officers who lost their lives in the line of duty as a result of what happened to them on January 6, 2021. I need a bullshit button. I need a bullshit button. Here, this is, how about this one?
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
I'm going to read that. Today, I'm thinking of the officers who still bear the scars of that day, as well as the loved ones of the 5 officers who lost their lives in the line of duty. Losing your life in the line of duty, that means you were shot while doing your job. Or you're killed while doing their job. None of these men lost their lives doing their job. Now, I'm sure their families mourn them. I'm not celebrating their death, but none of them died doing their job. And this article continues, but not a single officer was killed by any January 6 defendants, which is perhaps why not a single defendant was charged with manslaughter or murder. Officer Brian Sicknick died of natural causes on January 7th after suffering 2 strokes, according to the Washington, D.C. Medical Examiner. Members of the propaganda press, however, spent weeks telling America that Sicknick was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher during the protest, and they, without evidence. I'm looking at you, New York Times. Other outlets like the Associated Press, BBC, and USA Today repeated the egregious lie, as pointed out by this person's colleague, Jordan Boyd. 4 other officers died by suicide within months of the protest, including 2 officers who were not present for the actual protest. Oh, they count them? That's the part that I was saying. 2 of them weren't even there, but they counted them. Metropolitan Police Officer Kyle DeFreytag was not present for the actual protest, but later helped enforce the curfew put in place after a mob of supporters of then-President Donald Trump entered the Capitol building, according to People magazine. Officer Gunther Hashida also died by suicide after having not been present for the riot itself, but responding to it. In fact, the Washington Post reported that authorities drew no connection between the riot and Hashida's death. An officer familiar with the investigation said Ishida had struggles beyond January 6th that could have played a role. Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, Robert Conti III, said that he could not say whether the riot was the cause of the suicides, according to the New York Times. The only person who was actually killed on January 6th, actually there are two people, but the only one that killed was Ashley Babbitt, who was fatally shot by Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd. Byrd fatally shot Babbitt after she attempted to enter the lobby of the House chamber. Byrd has never been charged in connection with the killing of Ashley Babbitt. Garland's decision to invoke these emotional talking points, like the suicide of 4 officers, is nothing more than a politically motivated attempt to justify his out-of-control Department of Justice and their political persecution of hundreds of nonviolent protesters. I mean, it's such an egregious lie, but all of the Democrats were doing it yesterday, saying that, 5 officers lost their lives because of January 6th. It's just an incredible fucking lie. Hello, Linda Hunter. What's up? So we know what happened to them, and yes, they probably were trying to do their duty, and they died whistling Dixie. Yeah, no, some of them weren't even there for the riot. That's the more egregious part of that. They weren't even there. And then, let's see, here's another one. In the Daily Wire. Again, these are all right of center outlets. I have no delusion of that. But the tale of 2 January 6th, as Congress votes to certify Trump's election win, Trump considers pardoning January 6th defendants. It's January 6th and a storm was brewing in Washington, D.C. By the end of the day, the nation's capital could have more than 10 inches of snow, which they did. Enough precipitation to bring the spirited southern city to its knees. Schools are already closed, and there are at least 2 snowball fights planned for the National Ball, and bureaucrats are anxiously refreshing the government snow day page, hoping to work remotely. But there's at least one group of people settling in for a full work day at 1. This is from yesterday, obviously. At 1 p.m., Vice President Kamala Harris will gavel. You know what? I'm not going to read this. This is from yesterday. But the bigger part here is... let's skip down here. So winter weather aside, this is all pretty standard stuff. A far cry from the last vote to certify the day Americans will always remember when they think of January 6th. A lot has happened since then. Trump, of course, handed power over to Joe Biden, whose disastrous presidency eventually gave way to the Harris disastrous insurgent presidential campaign. And after a landslide victory in November, stop saying landslide! It was not a landslide. It was a land shift. It was a red wave, but it wasn't a landslide. Stop it. Trump is now set to return to the White House in just 2 weeks. He might kick off his term by pardoning the January 6th defendants. Trump has repeatedly said he is open to pardoning many of the 1,600 people charged for their involvement in the Capitol riot, hundreds of whom have been jailed. And Trump has frequently spoke out against what he says is unfair treatment of mostly peaceful protesters. These people have suffered, Trump said in a December appearance of Meet the Press. Their lives have been destroyed. True, the president-elect has indicated that he would not consider a blanket pardon and that he would make some exceptions for those found to have done something really criminal, but it seems very likely that Trump would kick off his second term by pardoning many of the January 6th defendants. This was by no means a foregone conclusion. After January 6th, many people predicted that Trump's political career was over. Many wanted him to go to jail for his role in the protest. And Democrats and the legacy media called the protesters domestic terrorists engaged in a coup, which, if it was a coup, why didn't they finish the coup? They were in the building. They could have finished the coup, but they didn't because it wasn't a coup. An effort to upend American democracy. But Trump came back. The election interference case against him failed. In October, the New York Times found that fewer and fewer people thought January 6th was a threat to democracy, while a growing number of people thought Trump was well within his rights to contest the 2020 election results. In December, the Inspector General report determined that the FBI had 26 undercover informants on the ground on January 6th, many of whom stormed the Capitol without authorization, but were not charged. A few weeks after the report was released, Matthew Graves, the D.C. Attorney General, who prosecuted the January 6th defendants, announced that he was stepping down before Trump returns to the White House. All of this combined with Biden's unpopular decision to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, and commute the death sentences of brutal murderers has really softened the ground for whatever January 6th pardon Trump may consider. So that wasn't the article I was expecting, but we read it anyway. All right. And then there's a question in Issues and Insights here. Will we make it to January 20th? Let's see. Oh, by the way, Biden just did another executive order banning new offshore oil and gas development. And some are saying, oh, this executive order, it hinders Trump in his effort to, do any kind of oil production stuff. And I'm confused because can an executive order be reversed by an executive order from one president to the next? Although they tried, I remember when one of Trump's executive orders in his first term, the courts at first said that he couldn't change it, like he couldn't undo an executive order from a prior president. And I think that failed. Anyway, Joe Biden's first 46 months in the White House were an exercise in political vandalism, the effects of which the world would be dealing with for years. But it wasn't enough for him. He's accelerated his offensive on his way out. Inauguration day can't come soon enough. The candidate who ran in 2020 on restoring dignity to the office of the president is a small and petty man. This is not, look, okay, let me put a caveat on that phrase. I do not believe that Joe Biden is the one making a lot of these decisions. I believe his staff is doing it because Joe Biden isn't 100% there as far as I'm concerned. I think his staff and the Obama people who run his staff are the ones doing this and making these decisions, and he's just going along with it. Anyway, the candidate who ran in 2020 on restoring dignity to the office of president is a small and petty man. This is not a revelation, but a fact known since he served in the U.S. Senate. He is small and petty, though, and it was especially evident when he ran for president the first time nearly 4 decades ago, dropping out after he could no longer cover his serial lies, blatant plagiarism, and the vicious side of his personality. So it's not the least bit surprising that he would try to burn down the world around him as he moves towards the door. Following is a brief glimpse of Biden's effort to handicap the next president and add needless hassles and costs to the lives of everyday American. We'll start with energy. An executive order designed to permanently ban new offshore oil and gas development along some yet undetermined coastlines is expected to be issued soon, which he just did. The decree will be difficult for Trump to reverse as it is rooted in a 72-year-old law that gives the White House wide discretion to permanently protect U.S. waters from oil and gas leasing without explicitly empowering presidents to revoke the designations, according to Bloomberg. It's a red-hot poker in the eye of Trump, whose agenda includes U.S. energy dominance and average Americans whose wallets will be adversely affected by higher energy prices. Biden is also attempting to implement a last-minute restriction on oil and gas drilling, says Fox News, pursuing its 20-year ban on oil and gas leases in 264,000 acres of Nevada's Ruby Mountains. The day after Christmas, Biden's Energy Department adopted conservation standards for gas-fired instantaneous water heaters, effectively outlawing a significant segment of that market for 4 to 5 years. Another December surprise intended to undermine Trump's reasonable and rational energy policy was the administration's ambitious new climate target under the Paris Agreement, which, we'll just leave it again, that mandates slashing greenhouse gas emissions by 61 to 66% below 2005 levels by 2035. Charles Rodgers of What's Up With That called it a final act of deviance too, before Trump takes the reins and charts a radically different choice. Now, under the foreign policy subhead, Matthew Petty of Reason suggests that Biden has considered leaving a very big mess on President-elect Trump's desk by bombing Iran's nuclear site before his term is over. Not that doing so would be such a terrible idea. A nuclear-armed Islamist regime poses a grave danger. But the timing is suspect. Biden could have taken out the mullah's atomic weapons program at any time during his watch. Instead, he's thought about dumping a problem on Trump's shoulders and escaping the responsibility that would come with such an operation. Should Biden follow through, it would not be done in the interest of national security, but rather the spiteful act of a wretched man. An interesting reminder from Petty, 4 years ago, the left was accusing Trump, who Biden called a reckless warmonger, of having plans to attack Iran and saddle Biden with a Middle East war. Didn't happen, did it? On student loans, though he's been told by the U.S. Supreme Court to cease making executive decisions that are not within his constitutional purview, Biden granted another round of student loan debt forgiveness just before Christmas time. This time, it was a $4.28 billion of relief for 54,900 borrowers. Again, not supposed to be able to do that. And then finally, a couple here. Personal vendetta in the last days coming fast. Biden awarded the presidential freedom to Hillary Clinton and Liz Cheney. Yeah, we had a good chuckle about that. I don't need to go through that one. That's just that is just trolling. It literally is trolling. And then he gave, what was the other one? He gave it another one to, well, here, let's see. They have it here. The most infirm of all lame ducks gave the same honor to George Soros, too. Phoenix destructive callous socialist, but not because the billionaire has funded the movement that puts America in danger, but because his massive funding network enabled Biden allies to implement their radical agenda through the administrative state. Yeah, because especially in the court systems in many states, the attorney generals that he sponsors have wreaked havoc on America. And then also just the pardons and commutation. The soon-to-be former president unleashed child killers and mass murderers on society, and still has time to protect those who persecuted and prosecuted Trumps through pardons, as he has been encouraged to do so. And then stuff on the border, DEI. It's just Joseph Biden and his staff are assholes. Let's put it that way. All right. There's also, I'm going to skip this one, the lies of the January 6th committee. The first one, January 6th was an insurrection. It was not. The democracy almost died. It did not. Trump incited the insurrection. There was no insurrection to incite, but he did not. Trump was enthusiastic about the violence. He was not. It's kind of funny. This is in the Federalist. I'll leave the article up, but I'm not going to go through it thoroughly. It's always funny when they show the footage of Trump and his family. They're looking at some video screens and they're dancing and they're laughing about what's going on outside. But that footage was just before they held the rally at the Ellipse. It was not the footage of the violence going on at the Capitol. And so they lie to you constantly. Trump tried to hijack a limousine. Cassidy Hutchinson, who made that testimony, and Liz Cheney, who suborned that perjury, should be prosecuted for that. That's some just bullshit. Trump dismissed need for National Guard. That's false. There's evidence that he asked for National Guard and whatnot. Demonstrations were mostly violent. They weren't. They show the violence, but they don't show the rest of it. Capitol police officer was killed in the riot. Nope, didn't happen. Loudermilk gave rioters reconnaissance tours. That was a lie. And the January 6th committee was legitimate. That was a lie. You can read the details of that article on your own. But do they have this clip from CNN? Here, yeah, they do. Good. So, but the Democrats on this Capitol riot narrative, it doesn't seem to be working with most of the American people. And here we go. In the 4 years since the Capitol riot, Democrats have tried incessantly to turn it into a national tragedy, akin to 9/11 or the Pearl Harbor attack, or Sonny Hostin, the Holocaust, with the goal of preventing Trump from being able to seek the presidency again. They even called it an insurrection, which it was not, and accused Trump of inciting it. He did not. Their efforts failed, and Trump was reelected on November 5th, becoming the first Republican presidential candidate to win the national popular vote since George W. Bush. Oh, and what a sweet victory it was. On Monday, Trump's victory over Kamala Harris was certified, and once again, the Democrats proved they can't let their phony baloney narrative go. It won't. Said, I won't bother posting all the tweets from Democrats waxing philosophical about the difference between January 6, 2025 and January 6, 2021. But here's the cringy post of Senator Chuck, the smarmy prick Schumer from New York, and some silly moment of prayer. Here it is. Today we held a moment of prayer near the door where rioters first broke into the Capitol on January 6, 2021. We mourn the lives lost in connection to the attack. Really? They mourn Ashley Babbitt? We mourn the officers who died in the days and weeks and months after the attack, not because of the attack. We pray for their... Here, let's look at the whole fucking thing. What else do you write here? This dipshit. Oh, that was it. We pray for their families that they find comfort and grace. Hey, that's fine. Pray for the families of people who died, but that has nothing to do with it. And so they did this moment of prayer with him and Hakeem Jeffries, and I don't know who these fuckwads are. Don't care. Anyway, they're really trying hard, though, aren't they? The problem for them is that it's not working. Despite all their efforts, that day didn't leave a lasting political scar on the public Democrats had hoped for. Despite the massive media coverage, the congressional hearings, and the general pushing of the narrative that the riot was an insurrection, most Americans have moved on. CNN's chief data reporter Harry Enton laid out the data starkly. Let's just watch that, and then we'll move on. Here's how it went on CNN yesterday, because they were talking about this during the certification of the votes.
If you go back, 4 years ago, right? Trump's role on January 6, 2021 should make him ineligible to be president. The clear majority of voters said yes, 56%, 56%, and that was including removal from office. But of course, Donald Trump...
Because there was a narrative just running through media that this was an insurrection, that they were trying to overthrow the government. Yeah, January 2021, we didn't know half the story because most people weren't watching any of it live like I was. And I saw the whole thing unfold because I was watching it that day. It's not, it was just such bullshit. Anyway.
Won the presidency, and part of the reason why was because views on Trump completely shifted, including Trump's role on January 6, 2021 should make him ineligible for the presidency. By 2023, 2024, it was just 47%. So we saw this drop of about 9 points, and that, of course, is all the difference.
And I'm curious, when he puts this up there, so January 2021, what do you mean 2023 and 2024? You mean the entire, 23 and the beginning of 24? What? But anyway, but still, it's gone down.
The world going from a majority to short of a majority, and of course, Donald Trump won the vast majority of the other 53% who did not believe that his role on January 6th would make him ineligible for the presidency.
Still a big number, but not enough.
Correct.
Right.
This 9-point shift was tremendous.
All right, let's talk about the why behind it, Harry.
Yeah, why? All right, so part of the reason why is, was Trump greatly responsible for the attack on the Capitol? You go back to January 2021, it was 48%. By the time of December of 2023, look at that. Again, a clear shift down to 37%.
Now, this is significant, because January 21 part was only 48% thought Trump was greatly responsible. Even then, even when they were constantly calling it insurrection, and now it's only 37%, that means a significant number of Democrats don't believe Trump was responsible for the attack. So their bullshit that they've constantly dripped out for 4 years clearly isn't working.
This is an 11-point drop, very much mirroring that drop that we saw that the folks said that, of course, would make him ineligible for the presidency. So that is part of the reason why, right? Fewer folks thought he was responsible, greatly responsible for what happened on January 6th. But it's not just that. It's that people simply didn't care as much about the attack on the Capitol. Look at this. January 6th is your biggest memory of Trump's first term in office. By the time of 2024, look at this. It was just 5%. Just 5% of Americans. And among Republicans, it was just 2%. So the bottom line is fewer Americans faulted Donald Trump or thought he was greatly responsible for the January 6th attack. And more than that, as it went into the rearview mirror, far fewer folks thought that it was their number one.
And so yesterday, the Democrats spent the entire day trying to remind you on social media that this was the worst event in modern U.S. history. It was like the Civil War. It was like 9/11. It was like Pearl Harbor, and it just wasn't. And that hyperbole, I think that's part of the reason that people are just like, seriously? No, not even close. Y'all are idiots for even trying to make it that way.
Yeah, and this is an extraordinary number, given that President Biden, when he was still in the election, was really putting this as his main issue. Never really was registering. All right, how about views of the results of the 2020 election this 4 years later?
Yeah, this, I think, says everything, right? Because part of the reason those folks attacked the Capitol was because they thought incorrectly that the 2020 election results, in fact, did not reflect the view of the voters.
It's funny. He puts it a little editorial word, incorrectly. It doesn't matter if they thought it was correctly.
Votes were cast and counted accurately. GOP voters after a given election, just 31%. Just 31% thought that about the 2020 election. Look at this. It turns out when you win an election, far more Republicans thought that the votes were cast and counted accurately, 94%. That is a 63-point jump, John. And that, of course, is why I think
I don't understand why they brought that one up, but anyway.
Will be mostly just business as normal.
Count.
All right, so there you go. All right, I have a few more articles that I'm going to get done because I need to get back to drinking water and stuff. Now, Adam Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger, the soon-to-be Democrat, will remember January 6th as a coup attempt. As a coup attempt. Are you serious? How long is this clip?
Kinzinger.
Let's just watch the clip, because this is he should be embarrassed for this. I'll put a separate link for the YouTube version.
Kinzinger.
And all right, here we go. Adam Kinzinger.
Kinzinger, you were in the House. You actually tweeted at 4:30 p.m. 4 years ago on this day. You tweeted, "This is a coup attempt."
It wasn't.
Do you think
they look? That's what he tweeted on January 6, 2021. It's funny because at 2:24, okay, so he's saying this is a coup attempt. I know at 3:21, Donald Trump had already issued a couple tweets saying, no, stop, no violence, whatever. So I'm curious about this. I'm curious how he thought. Of course, obviously the people in Congress who are all huddled in some room somewhere, safe room, whatever, I can understand why they would be concerned. Okay, it does, and at the time, this is live. They don't know what's happening. They don't know the full extent of what's happening. They're being told there's people armed out there. They're being told that people are out there with weapons and guns, and shots are being fired because that's what they were all tweeting. And the only shot really that was fired was the one at Ashley Babbitt. But they're being told in real time that this is that it is. They're being told it's an insurrection in real time. But then after you go back and look at this, and especially Adam Kinzinger, who has seen more footage than most because he was on that committee that they edited out all the anything that doesn't look bad. He knows what really went on, and it's funny because is he still going to call this a coup attempt after he's seen all the fucking footage? I bet he does.
I think that history will remember this the way it actually happened.
Yeah, I do. Look,
no, they won't.
We're in this emotion.
Not even
Donald
close.
Trump got defeated. He convinced. I mean, look, he convinced his base that that election was stolen from him, and that for 4 years built this like intense anger where they truly believed this deep state, garbage was happening. He's going to be president now for 4 years. He's going to own everything that happens in the economy, everything that happens in the world. And that excitement that we've been robbed will wear off. And history has this amazing ability to accurately reflect the happenings of that day. And so while maybe today.
Clearly, the public opinion on this, Adam, is not going in the direction you wanted it to. And guess what? Now that he's in office, I bet we get to see more footage of things that was happening. And not just, B-roll over and over of people fighting with police. There were a lot more people there than just those people. And a lot more people in the Capitol building than just those people. And obviously, most of us have seen this footage from other sources, people who were there that took, selfie video or whatever, took the video with their phones, of people just milling around looking at stuff. We've seen some of the Tucker Carlson footage that showing the people wandering around the building. No one was there trying to, take over the government. No one was even prepared to take over the government. They're saying this is a coup attempt. Who are they going to stop on that day? Donald Trump was already president. The people of Congress, it's not like they're going to stop the people. What were they going to do? What were they going to do once they got in the building? They were going to protest. Just like when the Supreme Court decisions or whatever, the people go to the Supreme Court and they're banging on the doors and they're out there yelling and screaming. It is very similar to that. But somehow they were able to get in the building. So I just don't, it's just nonsense. I got to tell you. Wait, how did that happen? How did Tyre become the streamlet? You're not. Hello. Thank you, Tyre Alexander, by the way, sponsoring the show, putting a small bullet in the tip jar. Or not a small bullet, but $2.30. Tyre asks, anyone checked out an AOC to make sure she's okay? She was killed on January 6th, and reliving the anniversary of your death can be traumatizing. As a lich, I don't celebrate the death of my death day. I am still shell-shocked on November 5th. Fucking Guy Fawkes. There you go. Thank you, Tyre. That's good. That's funny. Steve Weaver got charged for being a reporter. No, I know. That's crazy. Anyway, here we go. But so anyway, what he seems to not understand is that people are not thinking this is a coup attempt. As they see more and more actual footage, all the footage you've already seen, Adam Kinzinger, they're realizing, no, this was not a coup attempt. The people who got there and inside the building weren't interested in taking over the government.
Reflect the happenings of that day. And so while maybe today it's kind of surreal that we're here 4 years later after that and
I think Scott
putting
Jenkins
Donald Trump back in the presidency,
history
will not be kind to him. And I'm glad you brought up my tweet because I actually had this ready to go. Speaker Johnson tweeted this on January 6, 2021. I unambiguously condemn in the strongest possible terms any and all forms of violent protest. Any individual who committed violence today should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. It goes on for a whole nother thing. And
right. And do you think somebody disagrees with that? I don't think even Trump said that he wants to pardon the people who committed violence. But there's certainly people in jail who weren't even there. There's what's the Proud Boys dude? He's in jail for 20 years. He wasn't even there. How are you going to put someone in jail for January 6th who was not there at all? He wasn't in the building. He wasn't in the crowd.
Now, that's going to be a question when Donald Trump gets into office and decides, does he want to prosecute the people that looked into what happened on January 6th and embarrassed him? And
you mean the ones who destroyed evidence and tampered with witnesses? Maybe the couple of those people should be.
Does he want to pardon the people that actually did what Speaker Johnson just 4 years ago said they should be prosecuted?
Abby, it is remarkable. I mean, if you think 4 years ago, back on this day,
they don't want to hear what
idea
Scott has to
that
say.
The former president not only would become a president again, but would be able to convince so many people.
Poor Anderson
that,
can't even say it.
I mean, he kept repeating it's a day of love, and that's the line he'll use moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it actually is not surprising that Trump was able to do that because the very fact that January 6th happened in the first place is evidence of Trump's political power. Those people were there because of him. You saw in that video that we just played, he said, the election was stolen from us. He said that even as people were breaking into the Capitol.
He was saying it as they were breaking into the Capitol because he was still giving his speech at the Ellipse. He wasn't. Oh, my God. These people who are breaking into the Capitol, that was happening while he was still speaking. Duh.
Never backed down from the fundamental lie that was at the heart of January 6th, and he still does not to this day. So January 6th, I think, is a symptom of a broader problem, which is that there are millions of people in this country who are willing to believe anything that Trump says, even if it's a blatant, provable lie. And
I'm sorry, when exactly did they prove it? When did they prove it? When did they prove the media had its thumb on this? They proved that the media didn't have the thumbs on the scale. When did they prove that some of these cases that none of the judges were allowed to go forward? When did they prove those? Because they always say, oh, but every case, they lost all 60 cases. They never even tried any of the 60 cases. Not one. Now, certainly, will we ever know if there was as much voter fraud as they complained about? We'll never know because none of the cases went to trial. So there's no way to know. I'm sorry. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
for the Congress, I think the members, some of whom are in the chamber today, who will be in the chamber today, the members who back Trump up, who continue to try to gaslight the country about what happened that day.
You gaslight us about what happened that day.
Peaceful when we all saw with our own eyes.
No, you've seen the footage that gets played on the news over and over again. You don't see the footage of the peaceful people because that doesn't sell news. That doesn't bring eyes to the news. Oh my God, it's just amazing. You only show the violence. So you can't say, oh, well, people saying it's mostly peaceful because all I've seen is the violence over and over. If that's the only thing you show, then that's the only thing we're going to see. Ask Adam Kinzinger, was there any peaceful protest at that time? There was. Ask him if there was any violence once people got inside the Capitol building. The people who came in later, who were let in by Capitol Police. How much violence happened inside the Capitol building? How much destruction was there? They claim there was over $1 million destruction. Yeah, they broke a couple windows and a door. But otherwise, they were let in. What are you talking about? Avocado Stiabli, and there it is. The people at CNN, they are just jealous that there isn't even a few 100,000 people who believe their lies. That's true. Yes. Thank you, AD. So anyway, that's crazy.
What happened, those people are still in power. And I think that the next 4 years is going to be heavily influenced by their attempts, both in terms of rhetoric and in terms of official action.
Okay, I don't know why they cut it off there. That's annoying. Because I wanted to see what Scott Jennings had to say. There's a clip of him, but obviously I'm not going to get to it. Okay, now other news. We'll just go through a couple of these really quick. In the hush money case, Trump wants the court to delay the Friday sentencing. In the hush money case, Trump has appealed Judge Merchan's decision not to throw out the guilty verdict. President-elect Donald Trump, lawyers have appealed Judge Juan Merchan's rulings not to dismiss the charges against him in the hush money case and stay his Friday's sentencing. The lawyers asked Merchan to stay the sentencing because Trump appealed the judge's decision from the Hill by virtue of President Trump's filing of appellate proceedings, raising his claims of presidential immunity. All proceedings in this court are automatically stayed by operation of federal constitutional law. Trump's attorney wrote in a new filing, which was made public on Monday. In the alternative, even if such a stay were discretionary, this court should grant such a stay. The court should vacate the sentencing hearing scheduled on January 10th, 2025, and suspend all further deadlines in the case until President Trump's immunity appeals are fully and finally resolved, which should result in a dismissal of this case, which should have never been brought in the first place. They continued. A jury found Trump guilty of 34 felony counts for falsifying business records to pay off Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about their alleged affair. Merchan refused to throw out the guilty verdict, scheduling sentencing on January 10th, 10 days before inauguration. Trump's lawyer want Merchan to stay the sentencing since they plan to appeal the decision to the appellate division of the state's trial court. Lawyers argued the appeal triggers an automatic stay, but if the appeal does not stay the proceedings, the lawyers argued Merchan would then grant a pause and prevent sentencings from happening on Friday as scheduled. However, Merchan hinted that Trump won't face any punishment. Merchan said it's proper at this juncture and let everyone know that it's the court's inclination not to impose any sentence of incarceration, a sentence authorized by the convention, but one the people concede they no longer view as a practical recommendation. They want the label of convicted felon on Donald Trump, and that's all they care about, even if it's temporary, because even if this appeal throws the entire case out, they will still say, well, Donald Trump was convicted as a felon by a jury of his peers. It was a bullshit case. Let's put it that way. Hello, cannibalistic wizard. So anyway, odd cutoff. I don't know what I cut off there, so I didn't cut off anything. In the Federalist, efforts to sentence Trump in sham New York criminal case confirms Democrats' crazy lawfare. This is Margot Cleveland. I'm going to let you read this one yourself, but it's the same thing. It's like they only care about putting a label on Donald Trump. That's all there is to it. In Breitbart, apparently the Washington Post is going to be laying off dozens of staffers. Hello, Resolute Germ. The Washington Post will reportedly lay off dozens of its staffers in the next few days. The news coming after the publication caught flack for not endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris during the presidential election that Donald Trump won in November. In the article published on Status, Oliver Darcy wrote Sunday that the layoffs are slated to hit the Jeff Bezos-owned and Will Lewis-led newspaper business division. One person familiar with the matter said that the cuts will be deep, impacting many dozens of employees. Bezos has reportedly been shaking up the Post after he decided not to endorse Harris, according to Breitbart News. Now, Oliver Darcy, that little worm, everything he says with a grain of salt. And he said the layoffs will surely deplete morale and further inside the beleaguered newspaper, which has suffered a talent exodus over the last several weeks. As I reported earlier, Star reporter Josh Dawsey will exit the Post for a job at the Wall Street Journal. His departure comes on the heels of other top staffers fleeing, including Matea Gold, Ashley Parker, Michael Scherer, Charles Lane, Tyler Pager, and Amanda Katz. Aw, I feel so bad for the Washington Post. Don't care. Oh, and also that cartoonist which I look. Also, the Washington Post editorial cartoonist, they rejected this editorial cartoon that showed the different companies, including Jeff Bezos, trying to give alms to Trump. Ann Telnes, who worked at the Washington Post as an editorial cartoonist since 2008, says her cartoon below was killed and now she has quit the paper. So, I feel so bad that she's leaving. Don't care. All right. Thank you. Ty Alexander dropping another $2.30 in the tip jar, says, clearly they have never met any rapper. You keep attacking him. You're firing shots. You only make Trump a fucking martyr. If you wanted to defeat Trump, do nothing. Let him scream and rage in the dark, but you made him a victim. You created a monster. FTG. Yes, exactly, Tyler. Exactly. Good spot on commentary there. The only other articles I have here, Trump vows to reverse Biden's ridiculous offshore drilling ban, affirming his pledge to ramp up domestic energy production. President-elect Donald Trump of Money vowed to reverse President Joe Biden's ridiculous ban on new offshore drilling and gas development across the U.S. coastal waters. I see it just came over that Biden has banned all oil and gas drilling across the 625 million acre U.S. coastal territory. It's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately, Trump said in an interview with radio host Hugh Hewitt. I wonder, though, he tied it to some law that may make it more difficult for him to get rid of it. But again, it's an executive order. You would think that executive orders can be killed by executive orders. In American Greatness, Climate Hustle, EPA advisor admits selling billions to climate groups before Trump takes office. This is sending billions to climate groups. And environmental tech, this is sabotaging the incoming presidency, right? An Environmental Protection Agency advisor has been caught on hidden camera admitting that the outgoing Biden administration is funneling billions of taxpayer dollars to climate organizations as a hedge against the incoming Trump administration. Brent Efron, who is a special advisor for implementation for the EPA, was recorded by Project Veritas bragging about sending tens of millions of dollars in grants to climate nonprofits as an insurance policy against Trump's promises to rein in government spending. Efron exhibits zero shame as he laughably equates the frantic effort to get as much money as possible to climate-related allies as throwing gold bars off the Titanic. Yeah, if you haven't seen this, I'll put a separate link to this because it's, these undercover stings where I don't know how these people don't know that they're getting played. I don't know how long this one is. That's 5 minutes long. Should we watch it? Okay, here's a poll. Do we watch it? But basically what's happening in probably a lot of these government agencies, they know that the purse strings are about to tighten maybe, and, DOJ is going to be checking everything. So all these bureaucrat agencies are starting to throw their money out to, their favorite, cause groups that they give grants to ahead of the Trump administration. And it's like, these people have no fucking shame. It's disgusting. So anyway, I'll come back to that if you want me to. Also, in American greatness, New Jersey eliminates reading, writing, and math requirements for teachers. Yay! Whoops. This is amazing. This is amazing. The state of New Jersey has passed a new law that will eliminate basic reading, writing, and mathematics test requirements, not for the students, but for public school teachers. As Fox News reports, the Act 1669 signed into law by Governor Phil Murphy in June of 2023, went into effect on Wednesday, January 1st. The law was passed in an effort to address the shortage in public school teachers, with proponents of the bill suggesting that test requirements made it harder for people to become teachers. This effort was backed by the teachers union in New Jersey's Education Association, which called such a test requirements a barrier to certification. And they're complaining that Donald Trump wants to get rid of the Department of Education. We need more teachers. This is the best way to get them, said State Senator Jim Beach, Democrat from New Jersey. Upon the bill's passing, the State Board of Education shall not require a candidate seeking a certificate of eligibility, a certificate of eligibility with advanced standing, a provisional certificate, or a standard instructional certificate to complete a Commissioner of Education approved test of basic reading, writing, and mathematics skills, including but not limited to the Praxis Core Academic Skills for Educators test, in order to obtain a certificate of eligibility with advanced standing, a provisional certificate, or a standard instructional certificate, the new law states. So they don't have to necessarily prove that they are proficient in reading, writing, and mathematics to be a teacher. Yes, the union, exactly, AD, the union sees it as a way to get more dues. In the town I grew up in, the town manager couldn't pass a basic literacy test. This was in the 80s. Yeah, I just don't understand. Why would you? I don't understand. I don't want to read the rest of it. New York Post. Schumer's shameless new lies on Biden's decline prove why the Democrats still don't deserve your trust. Yeah, Chuck, here's Chuck on, let's see, how long is this? It's only 33 seconds. This is Chuck Schumer just a couple days ago.
Look, we didn't. And let's look at President Biden. He's had an amazing record.
Yeah, really.
The legislation we passed, one of the most significant groups of legislation since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, putting in 235 judges, a record, and he's a patriot. He's a great guy. And when he stepped down, he did it on his own.
No, he didn't.
He thought it was better.
You
not only
pushed
for the
him
Democratic
out.
Party,
You
for
lying
America.
piece of
We should all
shit.
salute him. We should all salute him.
Oh, fuck off, Chuck. Anyway, he didn't learn one of the primary lessons of the 2024 election. Americans resent getting fed full of insultingly obvious lies. In interviewing Chuck Schumer on NBC News, Kristen Welker played a clip of him in February claiming President Biden's mental acuity is great and calling any suggestion otherwise right-wing propaganda. She prodded Schumer to explain himself. What do you say to Americans who feel though you and other Democrats misled them about President Biden's acuity? Someone with an ounce of shame or sense might take the opportunity to grovel or at least apologize, but Schumer opted for a fresh whopper. So that's what he said, that he's look at Biden, he had an amazing record, he was perfect, he was good, whatever. No, what about the fact that he was a vegetable for most of his time in office? Okay, not a vegetable, but you know what I mean. Chuck's a smarmy prick. Anyway, and then there's a couple others. Trump's new chief of staff, Susie Wiles, revealed how the second administration will be different. Yeah, they're, let's just say they're going to be more organized. They got people that they actually want. They're not going to be they're not going to be getting people in positions because some people who had experience and not necessarily the right experience, have made suggestions. But I'm going to let that one go too. There's a couple others in the links today, but I'm going to leave it at that. Hey, thank you guys for joining me today. I know I've been later than normal, but hopefully I've been able to at least make up for the time. What's this? Is that there? Let me drop some links real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here and go back to bed, which is where I should be. Let's see. Let's fix that. Get off there. There we go. All right. Yeah, there are a couple more articles in the links if you're interested. Here are today's links, though. There we go. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, and that I'm not that I'm not even more dehydrated, but I've been drinking water and staying in bed and trying to keep the fever down, so we might be looking better for tomorrow. Thank you so much for the people who sponsor the show. Thank you for joining the chat. Hit the like button before you go. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. My name's Dawg Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.